Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, some television, all sorts of good stuff. And if we're going to talk about good stuff, you have to bring in our very own existential Mr. Rogers. He is the master of fun and wonder, the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
Wow, John, I'm so excited. Duran Duran's going into the studio to record their 15th album.
They? Seriously?
Yes,
What?
and producer Giorgio Moroder is going to be producing along with Mark Ronson and a few other people. I'm a huge Duranie. I love their last album, Paper Gods. I can't wait.
You know, oddly enough, one of my all-time favorite songs is actually a Duran Duran song. It's probably my top 10 favorite songs of all time.
Wow.
So you can see if you can just guess which one it would be. I'm going to guess you might not get it, but just take a while to guess which one it is.
Well, they've been recording for a long time. So, A Shot in the Dark, Come Undone.
Ordinary World.
You know what? Same album.
Song.
Same album. It was either Ordinary
I love
World.
that song. They actually kind of morphed them. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Duran.
That's from the Wedding album. That's mid-90s.
Also joining us, of course, speaking of wedding albums, I don't know how that's in any way at all associated. Chris Carr is here, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, how you doing?
Someone's legal property. Chris Carr.
Where did that come from?
Weddings.
Oh, I said weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's somebody's legal property.
Yep, that's me.
Anyway, guys, it's good to have you here today. We do have a whole bunch of stuff that we need to talk about today. By the way, very good mood watching the Dallas Cowboys lose last night, watching my Patriots eek out a win this week. I honestly do not know. I don't mean this facetiously. How did the Patriots or the Seahawks do?
They won.
Yeah,
They beat Arizona. They beat the Cardinals, and they beat them by 27-10.
It was a good Sunday then for everybody.
Good Sunday for everybody.
So listen, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's not waste any time and dive right into it. And we're going to go right into our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with the topics by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. When you get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. Guys, keep it to 90 words or less. Too many of you guys are sending in your dissertations for your doctorate, I think, at this point. So just keep it to 90 words or less. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on now to our first main topic today. Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This is from Terry H. Greetings, John and crew. With the announcement of Disney and Sony making a new deal for a couple of more films, it means that 2021 will have 4 MCU movies. I love my comic book movies, but isn't 4 films in 1 year a little much? Do you think they'll do 4 a year moving forward, or will this be a one-time thing? So, how many movies are we getting a year? Do you think it's a good thing to have 4 of them? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, what was kind of funny is that when they came out and announced that they had reached a deal and they were going to move forward for 2 more films, one standalone Spider-Man film, one Spidey showing up in the MCU, I thought, okay, cool. But what was interesting was that they let us know the release date, like right away. They said we got the release date and everything, which obviously tells us that that's what they were planning on anyway before their deal fell apart. The thing is, it's in 2021. Now, 2021, that means, I believe, this is going to be the first year, I believe, that we are going to get 4 MCU feature films in the same year. On February 12th, we're going to get Shang-Chi. On May 7th, we're going to get Doctor Strange 2, Psychotropic Into the Taking Speed and Acid, whatever it's called. What's it called again?
It's called The Multiverse of Madness.
The Multiverse of Madness. I like my title better. Anyway,
pretty good.
Now on July 16th, we're going to get Spider-Man 3. And then on November 15th, we're getting Thor, Love and Thunder. So we are going to get 4 MCU movies in the same year. But lest we forget, the topic doesn't really stop there. Because on top of the 4 movies, we got 4 Disney Plus properties that are coming out in 2021. We've got WandaVision is coming out in 2021, Loki, Hawkeye, and the What If series. So in 1 year, we are going to end up getting ourselves 8. I mean, and some people may want or not want to count What If, whatever, but for our purposes, we'll count it. We're going to get 8 MCU things coming out in the same year. Now listen, I'm always the guy that when people say, the discussions all come up, oh, hey, if they start doing one of these movies a year, do you think that people get tired of it? And I always make the argument, what are you talking about? Many of us will watch 20 episodes of a show that we enjoy in 1 year because we like it, and we'll watch one episode in 1 weekend. We will, or if it's on network, we'll watch one episode every single week, let alone every single year. So I'm the guy who always says, don't worry about their fatigue setting in. As long as the stuff's good, it's always good, and all that kind of stuff. That said, all right, with that being said, even I have to go, okay, would 8 in a year start to be pushing it a little bit? And if we just want to limit it to the feature film thing, 4 feature films in the same cinematic universe, is that pushing it a bit? And I'm going to say it might be. It might be pushing it a little bit, Rob. I'm not willing to say that it is because, look, we've had 3 and everybody's good with 3. What's the wise thing? If you want to experiment with more, what's the wise thing to do? Put out 6 in 1 year? No, try 4. Test it out. See how the audience responds. Does fatigue seem to set in? Does it seem that people are getting a little bit tired of going to? If not, then there's 4. They went from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. Now they're going to try 4. And could we see a little bit of fatigue? Maybe. I'm going to go so far as to say it's a possibility, but I think it's the right thing to try. If you really have all these new characters you're trying to bring in, while also peppering in some recognizable characters to stabilize it all, then that means you got to try to push the limits a little bit. So I'm not one of these people saying, anything more than 1 or 2 years too much, but I'm also don't believe the naive approach of, put out 50 of them a year, it'll be great. No, I think that's being naive. I think that's too much, but try it. And I think 4 could work out just fine. Rob, you see this now. We got 4 films coming out, not to mention all the Disney Plus stuff. Are they pushing it too much here, or do you think it's going to be just fine, no problem?
I don't think so. Movies come out. Movies come out every weekend. And if you want to go see, think about it. That 4 movies come out, there's 52 weeks in a year. So that's 48 weeks without a Marvel movie. And I think, 48 weeks. I think that's fine. And it's spaced out. People know they're coming. You can plan accordingly. You can buy your tickets. And I think more than anything else, this creates an excitement, a buzz. There's going to be a lot of naysayers that superhero fatigue. But you know what? It hasn't set in yet. And the movies are so enjoyable. They're so much fun to watch. It's like having a delicious meal every couple of months with your friends, and I like that.
All right, well, let me ask you this, Chris. I mean, look, we were used to getting one comic book movie. Well, we were all remember it. It wasn't that long ago when every couple of years we might get lucky and get a comic book movie. Yeah. Then we were like, hey, it's like almost every year we're getting one. Then we're getting 2 or 3 or 4. Now we're getting from the same MCU 4. Do you think this might be a bit much, or do you think this is a comfortable thing for them to try at this point?
This is comfy. This is nice. It's just like my sweater. I just want to cozy up with all these movies. I don't like things in moderation. So I'm really excited to have more. I'm a more is more person. I'm not a less is more.
A more is more person. I like that. Let me ask you guys. The question is now for you. Like, we've got these movies coming out. We're going to have some recognizable characters, some new ones, stuff like that, coupled with the Disney Plus thing. Do you think it might be too much? Do you think, it's not nearly enough? Do you think more like me is like, it might be too much, but I think this is the right thing to try right now? How are you feeling about it? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, let's move on to our second main topic today. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This is from Lord Fellow. Hello, John. And everybody around as well. So Dwayne Johnson posted a video of him thanking everybody who supported Hobbs and Shaw. There was something very peculiar about it since they as well thanked Vin Diesel. We all know that they were on a feud, especially during the production of the Fate of the Furious. He edited it with, "I'll be seeing you soon, Toretto." What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah.
Are they still feuding? Has this been a big publicity stunt this whole time? What's going on?
Yeah, here's the thing. Look, number one, just let me say this. I don't care about who feuds with who. I mean, just keep it behind closed doors. I mean, that's always been. I don't care. I don't care who's dating who. I don't care who slept with who. I mean, unless I'm part of the conversation, I don't care who slept with who. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the celebrity gossip nonsense. The only time it catches my attention is when it has a direct impact on the movies we will or won't see as a result of that. That's the only time it gets my attention and what I've been thinking about. Now, back in the day, we all remember, Dwayne Johnson, Vin Diesel were thick as thieves. The Rock went back to wrestle at a big WWE event. Vin Diesel was in the front row with, I think, The Rock's mom, I think, whatever. But then we started seeing some shots fired. At first, we all thought it was just a publicity stunt. Turns out it was real. They actually had a beef and they had a falling out, and they didn't even shoot any of their scenes together. They couldn't have them on set at the same time when they were doing Fate of the Furious. It got that bad. And so The Rock's basically out of all the Fast and Furious films. They start the spin-off series with him and Jason Statham, which, by the way, has just crossed $750 million worldwide. So not bad for a little spin-off film.
Yeah.
Well done, gentlemen. So there's been all that. And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is incredibly social media active, he gets on social media from his personal gym and puts out a thank you message to all the fans for helping make Hobbs & Shaw $750 million film worldwide. But he ends off his video by saying the following. He said, now you got to understand, recently Vin Diesel, because The Rock just got married recently, and Vin Diesel apparently put up a post congratulating Dwayne and his new wife. So The Rock said this: lastly, but not least, I want to thank brother Vin Diesel for your support of Hobbs & Shaw. I saw your post and I appreciate it. As you know, and what a wild ride this is, and what a wild ride this has been. 10 years ago, when you and I spoke, you invited me into the Fast and Furious family. I'm grateful for that invite. And as you know, my goal was always, all these years, to come into the Fast and Furious world and help elevate the franchise in any way that I possibly could. And of course, all roads led to one thing. I'll be seeing you soon, Toretto. Seeing you soon, Toretto. Now, this, of course, gets people wondering and questioning, wait a minute, he didn't say see you soon, Vin, like, well, see you for drinks or whatever. Like, I'll see you soon, Toretto. Now, Fast 9 cannot be a part of the conversation. They're almost done shooting that movie. I mean, if you wanted to, you could fly The Rock out for a day, shoot a cameo or shoot a post-credits if you wanted to, but there's no point in doing that. The Rock's got like 18 movies he's doing right now, so that could be difficult. But it does raise some possibilities. Could we be looking at, have they now successfully created their shared cinematic universe? Now that they've got a spin-off film with Hobbs & Shaw making $750 million, fingers crossed, Fast 9 also becomes a major success. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of success it has without Dwayne Johnson in it. We'll have to wait and see. But it does open the doors a lot for a Fast and the Furious 10. And I'll tell you what, I'll buy into the hype. I buy into it. Yep, I think Dwayne Johnson, although this is such a tiny thread to be pulling on, but I'll pull on it. I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson ending it with saying, see you soon, Toretto, and making it public that him and Diesel have squashed the feud and they've buried the hatchet. I think that was his way of telling us that we can expect to see Hobbs back in the Fast and Furious film. I think we're going to see Fast and Furious 10 with Dwayne Johnson in it, probably with Jason Statham in it. I still think we're going to see a Hobbs & Shaw 2, which they're already practically working on right now. Anyway, they're not shooting it, but they're working on it at this point. So, yeah, I'll pull on the thread. I'll buy into the hype. I think it's happening. Rob, let me ask you. This could very well just be a simple social media post of being friendly and stuff like that. But I'm choosing to look into it, like read a little bit too much into it. What are you thinking? Do you think this could foreshadow us seeing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back for Fast and Furious 10?
Well, first of all, I'm very disappointed that the real issue here, John, is still, once again, is not being addressed.
I can't believe it
and
took
the
me a
real
second to
issue
figure
is, of
it out.
course, justice for Han. Justice for Han. No, look, I think that, of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's coming back. Everybody likes his character. He was introduced in the Citizen Kane of the Fast and Furious franchise, which is, of course, Fast 5. I like that character of Hobbs. I think he's a great character. And I think he belongs, since they've added him to the franchise, he adds a lot to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in both 9 and 10.
Really?
I think they could scooch him in. You never know. I think that's what he meant. but you never know. I mean, the movie comes out May of 2020. I, for one, cannot be more excited. You know my great big love for this ridiculously lunk-headed franchise that I think is the greatest thing since
I love my love for this ridiculously
bread.
lunk-headed franchise. I love that.
I love it so. I just ordered a radio-controlled RX. They actually make Han's RX-7 as a radio-controlled car that you can buy that drifts.
No.
It's from Tokyo Drift. Yes, sir. I found it online.
Does it have a little model Han in it with his waffy hair that you love so much?
I don't think it's got
in the wind?
a figure in it, but that doesn't mean I can't just customize one and
That's
whip
true.
it up and put them in there. But I did. This is true. They do make a radio-controlled. It says Han's RX-7 and it drifts.
Unbelievable. It's got to be something you have. But anyway, the question becomes, what do you guys think? Number one, of course, it's nice to see mommy and daddy making up in public. That's nice to see. But in practical terms, do you think this is a foreshadowing of him coming back into the Fast and Furious films? Do you think, Campea, you're reading way too much into a simple little social media post, which I very well may be? What do you guys think? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our third main topic today. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Third topic is from Mike. Hey, John, awesome show. There are reports coming out that Travis Knight, director of Bumblebee, is going to direct the Uncharted movie. What are your thoughts on this? And when do you think this movie will actually come out? Thanks. What are your thoughts on Uncharted?
Well, yeah, look, we've known for a little while that they were doing an Uncharted movie. It feels like it was 1984 that they announced that Tom Holland was going to be the new Drake. I mean, look, it's been a while. They announced that Tom Holland was going to play the lead character in it a while ago. Then we had Dan, who I was mispronounced his last name, Trachtenberg. I think it was Dan Trachtenberg was attached on to direct it. He was attached for a while, and then ultimately he stepped away from it, so he's not there anymore. The word now coming out of the major trades, this was in all of them, as a matter of fact, is that Bumblebee director Travis Knight, who also directed Kubo and the Two Strings, has got a history with Leica. He has signed, or at least is in final negotiations at this point, which probably means it's about to be signed, no problem, is going to direct the Uncharted movie. Now, I'll tell you this. I have been thinking relatively positively about this. Look, the game itself is very cinematic. It really does, for a video game, it leans very heavy on narrative. So that's there. You get a Tom Holland attached, so they're going to start Nathan as a young dude. They're going to start him young. So that's fine. I mean, we had a little bit of that in A Thief's End. We got those flashback things to him as a younger guy, so they're probably going to start with him a bit younger, and then they can have Tom Holland play this character for 15 years if they want, at any rate. So I was intrigued by it. And I like Dan as a director too. Bringing in Travis Knight, though, for me, elevates this to, no, I'm not intrigued anymore. Now I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'll tell you why. Not just because Travis Knight has shown that he's a talented director like he did with Kubo and the Two Strings, and what a terrific job he did on that. He did a fantastic job on that. But on top of that, Rob, he came into Bumblebee, all right? A hurting franchise, the Transformers franchise, that was just, its name was ridiculous. It got to the point that you start to mention Transformers movies, people start with a snicker, you know, because they just got so bad. They just got so terrible and so bad. To the point that a lot of us, including me, went, why the hell are you even making a Bumblebee movie? Then they brought in Travis Knight to direct. And a lot of us went, oh, the guy who directed Kubo and the Two Strings? Okay. He came in. He did the almost impossible. He humanized that story. He gave real heart to Bumblebee. And he gave this franchise, which was stone cold dead, other than still making a little bit of money, and actually breathed beautiful life into it, to the part where I'm watching a Transformers movie now, Bumblebee, and I feel like the lead characters don't feel, pardon the pun, robotic. They feel like they have heart and soul, and I buy into the relationships have great dynamics, and I'm invested in the story, and I just adored that movie. He walked in and took something that was almost impossible to bring back to life, and he brought it back to life with character, with story, and with heart. Something that's really hard to do with a Transformers movie. And now you're talking about a genre that's, I mean, 0 for 50. like video game movies suck. I think the last Tomb Raider one was actually not bad. I like the last Tomb Raider one, but overall, it's been very difficult ride for video game movies. So you get a guy that's now got a little bit of experience walking into a genre, an IP that, hey, maybe it's been tough. But you're talking about a guy now, Rob, who's got a proven track record just recently of coming into a franchise, infusing real character depth, infusing real heart, infusing real emotional attachment between the audiences. And if he can do that with Uncharted, with the popularity of that IP and the base source material that he has to at least start with and build with from there. Look, there are a couple of directors you could have named that I would have been really excited about, but this is one of them. I think this is a fantastic move for this franchise. And like I said, it's taken me from being intrigued about an Uncharted movie to being damn well excited about this movie at this point. Rob, you're hearing about this. I mean, look, I understand it's still a video game movie and the track record isn't fabulous, but am I justified in feeling this excited?
Well, like you, I mean, this is the first video game. The first Uncharted was the first time I ever was playing a game going, this is as close to playing a movie as I've ever experienced. I love the game. It was also the very first time I sat down and played a video game from beginning to end. I spent all day. I think I finished it in like 12 hours or something. But I loved it. I loved the characters. I was totally invested in the story, in the world, in the relationships, in the milieu. I love the whole thing about it. Everything about Uncharted. So I'm excited to see an Uncharted film. It needs, as every film does, a director who knows character and story. You know, who's going to take this franchise and make it into something that people should not think when they see a video game-based movie. They should not think it is a video game-based movie. They should just think of it as a movie. They should actually be surprised when they come out that, oh, this is based on a video game? Hopefully it wouldn't be a part of the conversation. And I think if anybody can do it, Travis Knight can do this. And I, like you said, I think the way you put it is great. I went from, what did you say, not intrigued to being excited. And that's exactly how I feel about it. I'm excited now.
As you're looking at this, Chris, you know, the video game movies with their history, they've been talking a long time about maybe getting Uncharted going. There's still some people that are a little uneasy about maybe Tom Holland, even if they like him, but they're going with the younger direction. I see some upside with that. How do you feel about the addition of a Travis Knight to this?
Travis Knight does make me more excited about this. I will give y'all that. That makes me feel more comfortable with this film. He does handle characters well. He handles story incredibly. I love his work. And I'm one of the people who is a little on the fence about Tom Holland still.
Yeah.
He is a national treasure. Thank you so much, England, for giving him to us. Thank you for letting him be ours. He should be protected at all cost. But I'm still stuck on, I want that to be internet boyfriend Nathan Fillion, you know? And I know he's 48, so there might not be that nice 15-year stretch like we get with Tom of doing lots and lots of movies. But I'm still just hung up on that casting. Hopefully Tom will prove me wrong, though, and just really nail this. And we know he's great with stunts, so he's going to do some really, really cool cliff jumping at least.
By the way, speaking of Nathan Fillion, good Canadian kid, by the way.
Very good Canadian kid.
Speaking of Nathan Fillion, just as a little side note, James Gunn just put up a picture of him. He took a bunch of the cast of Suicide Squad 2 to go watch The Joker. And they took a big group photo after it. Have you seen Nathan Fillion these days? He's lost like 50 pounds.
Oh, yeah, he's looking great.
He looks better than he has looked in years. Because even if you go back to the beginning of season 1 of The Rookie, which I'm really into that show. I really liked it. You could see the difference even from when episode 1 of The Rookie, he's still kind of a bigger guy. And now I look at this picture of him and he looks fantastic. He looks like he's ready to strap him up. But you're right. Yep. The problem with Nathan Fillion, of course, is you have a limited window. There as far as what you want to do, but still, hey,
I'd watch him as Nathan Drake though with a walker.
Yeah,
you know?
But hey, we'll always have that short film he made on YouTube.
Yeah,
we'll always have that short film, so that's there too. The question is now for you guys: what do you think about the addition of Travis Knight as the director of the upcoming Uncharted movie? I think it's a fabulous hire. I think this is a really good fit. I think he could bring something special. Are you there, or are you still kind of like John? It's still a video game movie. They should have gone with somebody like a Nathan Fillion. Blah blah. Are you still kind of on the fence about it? Let me know your thoughts. Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This is from Michael B. Davalia. John, reviews are coming in for The Irishman, and they are so good. As of right now, Saturday afternoon, the movie is at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with 41 reviews. Are you ready for this 3.5-hour beast? Are you ready?
Yeah, and this movie they're saying is coming in at 3.5 hours. And listen, The Irishman is a really interesting movie. I think this is going to be a movie that we talk about for a number of years as we look back at the history and the transitional phase that we're in with movies and how movies are done and all that kind of stuff. This was a movie that was originally intended to be a theatrical film. It got pitched to a bunch of studios. Nobody wanted to pick it up, which to me was a red flag that this must not be any good. Like, it must not be any good if the studios are all passing on it. Then a friend of mine, talked to me and said, Campea, what you're not taking into consideration here is it may not be that the script isn't any good. It may be that they're looking at it and thinking, this is great, but we don't think it could make money in the theaters. Which, when you look back at Martin Scorsese's film Silence that he did with Andrew Garfield and Liam Neeson, which is actually really quite excellent. I like that film a lot. It made no money. It made none. And let's face it, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro have not been burning up the box office. They did that little movie with 50 Cent. I still can't remember where the two were cops. I forget the name of the film. Nobody went to go see it. So it's like, yeah. And, they bring it up in the question. This thing is 3.5 hours long. That was probably a part of the conversations between Martin Scorsese and the things. Because, look, we're already wondering if this can make money. You make this 3.5 hours long. We think we're going to lose money if we do this, so they passed on it. So they go to Netflix where that's not an issue. And my friend actually convinced me. He's like, you know what? It's probably because of that. It's probably not because of quality issues. And if I still had any doubts about whether it was quality issues, those doubts have now been quashed. They have played it at the, which festival?
The New York Film Festival.
The New York Film Festival.
Over the weekend.
I just couldn't remember if it was that one or another one of the New York festivals, but they played it there over the weekend. They now have a number of reviews out. And it's not like there's only 4 or 5. As of right now, when you wrote the message, there were 41. As of right now, there's 47. And it is still holding, out of 47 reviews, a 100% critic rating. That means every single one of them liked it. And they didn't just like it. The reviews I'm reading are really great. Like, really, really great. Some criticisms, Rob, actually, about some of the things, one of the things that we were wondering about when we were looking at the trailers, some criticisms about the technology for the de-aging. Some said at some points it does take you out of it a little bit. But if you just understand that's a tool. And, because look, what was the one with Cher? It was the story about, where she had the son with the elephantitis?
Mask.
Mask, thank you. Mask, I watched that movie again a couple of years ago. At the time, the prosthetics looked great. Today, I'm looking at it, it's like, not so good. But you know what? That was just a tool. And even though the masks, no pun intended, didn't look all that super realistic by today's standards, you immediately get over that and you just get enthralled in the story. And it sounds like to me that, yeah, there are some points that maybe this new technology didn't work all that great. But they said for the most part it works. But if the story's that good that you just see past it, then it doesn't matter. It's just a tool, and that's fine. So hearing this, I got to tell you, I went from being skeptical about The Irishman to then my friend convincing me about maybe the reasons it's going straight to Netflix to being, okay, I'm curious about it. I wasn't a big fan of the first trailer. I liked the second one. But now hearing the response and the reviews coming out from the people who've seen it, it's now on my oh my God, I can't wait to watch this sort of thing. Even at 3.5 hours. You know why? Because this is home and I can hit pause and go grab a drink and use the bathroom or whatever. But at 3.5 hours at home, it's great. And I'll be honest with you, I was expecting good reviews. I wasn't expecting 100% at this point. Rob, I know you've been looking forward to this movie a lot. Are you surprised at all about hearing the responses we're getting around to this right now?
No, and I not at all. It's exactly, I mean, it's Martin Scorsese. It's exactly what I expected. This movie's going to play in theaters for 3 weeks. It opens November 1st. I'm going to go see it in the theater. I'm going to make a bold prediction, John. I bet you this movie wins Best Picture, Best Director, and Steve Zalian's going to take it for Screenplay.
Really? You're calling a huge sweep for this thing.
It's director, screenwriter, and picture. I can't say anything about the performances, but I'm willing to bet. And this movie is going to bring home to Netflix what they so desperately desire. Maybe they don't, but they want that.
They do.
They do. They're going to win. They're going to win a Best Picture award this year for this movie, which is why they shelled out more money by a large margin than anything else they've ever spent money on, and they're going to take home that.
This movie is still a net loss for them. I mean, financially speaking, they're going to lose money on this deal.
They're going to bring,
but that's
home,
okay for them if they get what they want out of it.
They're bringing home that gold statue for this movie, and it's going to change the conversation about streaming platforms and movies, and I think, you know what, you've got one of our maestros, one of the greatest directors who ever lived, working with some of the best actors who ever lived. He worked with Pacino now. This is the first time they've ever worked together. And you got Steve Zalian, who's one of my favorite screenwriters of all time. I mean, this movie it's also going to win cinematography. But it's crushing it,
But just be clear, you haven't seen this movie yet, right?
Have not seen it.
I'll be curious to know your impressions after you actually see it.
I'm talking out of my keister here, but I am making this bold prediction.
Well, guys, listen, I want to ask you, what do you think about these rave reviews we're getting about The Irishman at this point? I mean, they're certainly very strong. Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down out of the way, let's move on to our fifth main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth main topic today?
Fifth topic comes from Danny Quinta. Hey guys, so after all the excitement, buzz, controversy, and film festival wins, Joker Week is finally here.
It's here! It's Joker Week!
With all the noise behind us, how well do you now think the movie will do? Do you sense people are going to be rushing out to see it, or do you think it'll be a bit overhyped? I personally can't wait. John, are you excited about this movie at all?
Well, I mean, look, obviously, we've all been, I've been super pumped about this movie since last year. From the day they announced this movie, I've been out of my mind for a different reason for most people. For me, it was because, oh my God, a true standalone film. This is amazing. One that's outside of a shared cinematic universe. I was so stoked about that. And obviously doing a character study with the Joker, then you looked at the people involved in it. You got Joaquin Phoenix, one of the great actors of our generation. I mean, there's so many reasons to be excited about this. And now here we are. It's Joker Week. We're going to go see it on Thursday. All of us, we're all going together to go see it on Thursday. I'm super stoked about it. Very excited. But the question then does come. Amidst all the talk, the festival wins, the controversy, all this kind of stuff, now it's here. The bottom line is, how many people are interested? Is the general movie-going audience at this point now intrigued, and do they want to go see Joker? Now, I've got the highest supreme confidence that it's going to be awesome, but has this done its job to convince other people this is a fabulous movie-going experience? Did all this stuff with all the controversy and all the noise surrounding it, is it going to come down to it? Now, there's something we got to keep in mind when it comes to how many people will come out to this, how many people have been motivated to go see Joker. You got to remember this. October is not traditionally the biggest movie-going month, historically. Like when you look at let's look at the biggest opening weekends in the history of the month of October. We've got, on the one hand, we've got Venom, which holds the record, which is fabulous. I love that Venom holds that record. It holds the record at $80.2 million, which is the all-time record right now for the month, which by some other months you might think, wow, that's actually kind of low, but there it is. The 2018 version of Halloween made $76.2 million. Then in third place is the Sandra Bullock Gravity at $55.7 million. You got that fabulous Matt Damon movie, The Martian, at $54.3 million. And then you've got Paranormal Activity 3, which made a lot of people forget how much money that damn franchise made. $52.5 million. Now, the latest numbers that we have seen at this point are pointing us towards a $75 to $85 million opening weekend, some going as high as 90 or 95, which I think puts $100 million in the range of possibility. 100 million possibility, maybe even north, who knows, somewhere along there. I think this is where I'm at right now. I feel confident, not guaranteed, but I feel confident that we're looking at the new record holder for the biggest opening weekend in October history. I think with all the buzz, even the negative stuff, because sometimes even bad publicity is good publicity. Sometimes, not always. But with all the buzz and all the talk and it being the forefront of everybody's consciousness, and now it's here. It's this week now. Like with all this buzz, it's not still 3 months away where all this buzz and generating talk and interest can fade. It's actually this week. So if you look at it, all the buzz and the energy level and the talk is peaking at just the right time for the opening of this movie. I think we're seeing a new opening weekend record for the month of October. I don't know if it's going to get 100 million because it's still October. It's still October, so I don't know if it's going to hit 100 million, but I feel confident that we're looking at a new number one. I think a lot of people are motivated to go see this. And here's the important thing to me, Rob. I think there are people who would not go out to the regular comic book movie are going to be interested in seeing Joker. Not all of them, but I think it's not just the comic book crowd that's going to be into this. I think because of the look of this, the fact that they've been really pushing the taxi driver nature of it, all that kind of stuff, I think you're going to get some people out there who might go, a new Avengers movie? Nah. A new Justice League movie? Nah. This Joker looks interesting. I think it's going to get all the comic book fans, and I think it's going to get some of those, so I feel comfortable saying between 90 and 100 million. What do you think, Rob?
I think you're bang on the money. I think that a lot of people are going to see this movie. I think there's a lot of excitement. I'm mainstream critics that don't spend a lot of ink talking about comic book movies are talking about this film. I think it's going to do huge business. Like you said, I don't know if it's going to make $100 million because it's not that kind of a movie. I heard the movie only costs like less than 60. And if that's the case, this movie could end up being a monster hit, and it doesn't have to make $1 billion to be a monster hit.
Oh yeah, so, I don't think any of us are thinking this is going to be $1 billion film. No, right? Not at all. And it doesn't need to be by any stretch of imagination.
I think this is definitely a cultural flashpoint of some kind, and I think that a lot of people are excited about it. I know that I am. I just can't wait to see. Whenever I go see a movie, John, it's not just when you hear if it's good or bad. It's every little detail that I pay attention to. Like, what's the Warner Brothers logo going to look like? Is there going to be music playing over it? What's the first shot going to be? Like, I'm totally intrigued about everything that this movie is going to show me. And I'm deliriously excited to see it. And I think a lot of people, just because it's so different from what we've seen before. There's never really been a comic adaptation like this. And whether I like it or not, I know the experience of watching it is going to be immensely satisfying. And I can't wait for it. And I think I'm not the only one.
Where are you at right now with this, Chris? And not just where are you at personally, but with the people you talk to, the online presence you have, stuff like that. Are you feeling like enough people are going to go out to see this thing this weekend to push it over that record number? Do you think it could go just under it? Do you think it could break 100 million? Where do you see this coming in right now?
I definitely see it going over Venom, but I'm hesitant to say the 100 mil. But that being said, the people who I've talked to outside of like my geek circles, right, are so excited about this film. All of my friends who are, very proud of their film school degrees and who really, really only like to watch auteur films and things like that are pumped about this movie because it is passing the genre. It's taking something that we all know and love, comic books, and it's really doing a masterful character study is what it looks like it's going to be. So I think tons and tons of people from all walks of life are really excited about this film, not just people who are into comics, not just people who are movie fans, but I think it really is appealing to a really wide variety of audiences. And that's the feather in their cap here. That's why this movie, I think, is going to do gangbusters at the box office.
And you know what? I can't remember the last time. Look, we had Logan come out, blown away by how good it was. It went on to be nominated for Best Screenplay. First time ever a comic book movie got one of those major nominations like that. That was great. But going into Logan, I don't think there's ever been a comic book movie coming out where we thought, wow, the Oscar potential of this movie. Like I even with Logan at the time, even though I thought it looked great, it wasn't until after I saw Logan that I went, this thing could win Oscars and it should be nominated for a number of them and all that kind of stuff. This is the first time I can remember a comic book movie coming out where we're actually watching and going, how many Oscar nominations is this good? We haven't even seen it yet. How many Oscar, is this thing going to get nominated for Best Picture? And we see that sort of potential in it. And I think that transcends just the comic book movie fans and why I think we're going to see, like, Chris, you're saying you've got these auteur friends who are thinking, yeah, this comic book movie, got to see it. I think it breaks the record. I don't know that it breaks 100. What do you guys think? Is this movie getting enough attention? Do you think people are talking about this enough that we could see it break that opening weekend Venom record for October? Could it even peak over at 100 million? Or do you think it's like, hey, guys, remember, it's still an R-rated film. It's still October. It's still a more heavy, serious drama, not your traditional comic book movie. So it might not appeal to that many. It's going to come under. Where do you think it's going to be right now? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, we've got a sixth bonus topic here that we're going to talk about here today. And the thing we're going to talk about here today is this. Now, obviously, Star Wars Episode 8 was a very divisive film. And it's kind of funny. I don't refer to the prequels as divisive films because just we all hated it. But but Episode 8 was very divisive. You had people who very strongly liked it and a lot of people very strongly dislike it. And one of the question marks going in amongst people who disliked it and who liked it, going into Star Wars Episode 9, the one thing that a lot of them agreed on was, I wonder if JJ is going to retcon some stuff. And I've heard people who hated Last Jedi and who loved Last Jedi both asking that question. Okay, is JJ going to retcon some stuff here? Is there some stuff to be retconned? Is he going to come and go, all right, time for me, Daddy's home, everybody. Daddy's home, I'm back. Don't worry, I'm going to put everything back to the way I want it again. Is he going to do that? And I'll tell you what, even I myself thought, he might bend a few things here and there. Well, anyway, Empire just did an interview with JJ Abrams, and he brought that topic up specifically about, is he going to change things that were done in Episode 8 and all that kind of stuff? And for whatever it's worth, here's what JJ Abrams said about that. This is his words specifically. He said the following: I never found myself trying to repair anything. If I had done Episode 8, I would have done things differently, just as Ryan would have done things differently if he had done Episode 7. But having worked on television series, I was accustomed to creating stories and characters that then were run by other people. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created and you believe in that it's in trustworthy hands, you have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same that you would make. And if you come back into it, you have to honor what's been done. I'm going to read that last part again because I think there's some really insightful stuff here. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created and you believe it's in trustworthy hands, you have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same ones that you would make. And if you come back into it, you have to honor what's been done. I think there's some fascinating things here that we can glean. Number one, I think that most people will want to gravitate towards is, basically, JJ Abrams just acknowledged, oh yeah, there are things done in Episode 8 that I wouldn't have done. There are things done in Star Wars Episode 8 that I myself would not have done. But he also then kind of says that he expected that. Because, he's got a history of working in television where other writers and showrunners will then come on and do things that you wouldn't have done. And I like that he kind of says, look, I never approached it thinking that I'm the granddaddy of all things. I need to come in and fix things. No, just because things were done that I wouldn't have done doesn't necessarily mean they need to be corrected. But his last line is interesting, saying that you have to honor what's been done. In essence, to me, it seems like what JJ Abrams is saying is that, no, I'm not coming in to retcon things from Episode 8. Yes, things were done in Episode 8 that I myself wouldn't have done, but that's where we're at. And now I'm going to continue the story on in making decisions that I want to make, but honoring what has come before. So that's interesting to me, as well as the acknowledgement that, Episode 8's not the film I would have done, per se. However, Rob, I also think there's something we need to keep in mind here. This is JJ Abrams, the guy who insisted from the top of every city tower, Benedict Cumberbatch is not playing Khan Noonien Singh. He is not playing Khan. And then, of course, he was playing Khan. So we just got to keep that. I'm not saying I don't believe him. I'm not saying JJ Abrams is lying. I am simply saying in the midst of these conversations, we do need to keep in mind who it is that's moving his lips. It's JJ Abrams, who has from time to time been known to try to cast a little bit of misdirection. So what he's going to do with Episode 9 here, I don't know. He doesn't go into, which I think was probably wise of him, Rob, he doesn't go into specifically what was done in Episode 8 that he would not have done. I will tell you what, though. I greatly admire J.J. Abrams as a filmmaker. I love The Force Awakens. Love it. I love Rian Johnson as a filmmaker. And I liked The Last Jedi, but it's my least favorite of all the new Star Wars films, if I'm going to be honest. There are things in there. I have heard from a number of sources very, very close to Lucasfilm, Rian and JJ don't like each other. I've heard for some pretty reliable, very close to the source things, Rian and JJ do not like each other. Which actually makes me admire them both, that when they speak publicly, they speak very positively each other. They never down trash each other, and I respect that very, very much. I think that's the way you should do business. But still, for him to say, Yeah, there are things done in 8 I wouldn't have done. That leaves all of us to speculate what were those things, JJ? What things did you not like about episode 8? And I'm glad he didn't go into that, all that sort of stuff. But Rob, understanding his history and understanding and now seeing what he has said, what do you make of these comments that JJ just gave us?
I believe him, actually, and I'm no fan of JJ Abrams, not as a person, but as a filmmaker. I've not been a big fan of what he's done theatrically with his movies. But I think episode 8 sort of ended wherever they were going to go. They're basically having to start over. I mean, you've got the relationship with Rey and Kylo, and you're going to build off of that. But as for the rest of the movie, it's almost like it's a brand new deal. Because what story was remaining to be told? Whatever happens between Rey and Kylo, okay, we can see that carry forward. But I think JJ Abrams had a lot of heavy lifting to do that he's still doing right now, probably in the edit bay, trying to make everything come together and really work. And I think that episode 8, he can look at it in his rearview mirror, because not a lot happened in that movie that's going to affect what he was doing going forward. And I think that he's got bigger fish to fry. So I think he was absolutely being truthful. I think more so than any other movie that's ever been made, The Rise of Skywalker that's a tough nut to crack. And for as much as I've not admired JJ as a director, as a feature film director, I do admire the task that he took on, because it's thankless. There's no way that he can really win. And if he sticks a landing and gives us something, answers questions, gives us a satisfying movie, it'll be an enormous triumph. And I have to say, John, I'm pulling for him. For as much as I hate those Star Trek movies he made, and I truly hate them with every fiber of my being, I want Rise of Skywalker to be great. I want JJ Abrams to provide us something that we can all look back on and go, you know what? That was really cool. And I'm really hoping he's going to stick this landing. And I think that he knows he's got to stick this landing. And I think he's probably bleeding out of his eyeballs on a daily basis trying to make this movie the best movie it can be. So I'm really pulling for JJ, and I honestly believe him when he says that he's not retconning anything from Last Jedi. And I want this movie to be good. I don't think I've ever had more goodwill toward a filmmaker and wanted him to stick the landing, especially somebody I disliked, ever in my entire life, than I want this guy to make a great movie.
You know, you raise a fascinating point that I want to just touch on a little bit here. And I haven't really thought of it in these terms. When you look at how episode 8 ended, it didn't end in such a way with, well, the only way you can go now with this is this direction or this direction. It kind of ended in such a way that whoever was going to direct the next film or write the next film could really take it in any direction they wanted to go. And I never really thought of it in those terms. But I mean, that's one thing Johnson really did do. He ended the film in such a way that, hey, whoever's writing and directing the next one, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want to do, because these things, we have certain things in certain places right now, but we didn't end the film in such a way that the only logical way you can go with this thing is go to this direction. Nope, you can go in 1,000 different directions, and it's going to be neat. Again, to me, I adored The Force Awakens. It's a different experience from me from, say, there have been other Star Wars films that I've watched and I disliked it more every time I saw it. This was one of those films that I've watched it multiple times and liked it more every time that I saw it. And still nowhere near the quality of the original trilogy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's the original trilogy way up here. And then down here somewhere is, you know, you got The Force Awakens, you got Rogue One, you got Solo, and then you got The Last Jedi. And then way down by the bottom of my feet is the prequels and Clone Wars and some of Rebels, although I liked a lot of Rebels too, but it is what it is.
Where does the Christmas special sit?
Oh, didn't you know the Christmas special doesn't exist? Didn't you know that? Life Day. No, the Christmas special does not exist. We should never speak of this again. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Anyway, Chris, I wanted to ask you, like, you hear JJ Abrams saying this stuff. Understanding this is the same guy who said that Benedict is not going to be Khan. is he setting us up to go in and finding out he's retconning everything left and right in The Rise of Skywalker? Or do you, like Rob, feel that, no, he's just going to take it in his own direction, not retcon anything? What do you think he's going to do?
I mean, let's quickly be clear. That whole con thing was so stupid.
Yeah.
It was so dumb, and I was so mad the whole time. Just being like, we know that's who it is. Stop it. I'm with Rob on this, though. I think that it's not going to be retconned. And you know what? Kids who are saying it should be retconned, don't be babies. Stop it. It exists. I'm sorry you don't like it. And you are so welcome to not like it. But the movie's there. And that ending really is a gift to a writer and director. Like you guys were saying, you can really go anywhere with it. There are lots and lots of possibilities here. So if you don't like the original one, that's okay. Things don't get erased, though, you guys. It happened just like that Christmas special happened.
Didn't happen. Christmas special didn't happen. But I mean, that reminds, like, my approach to here's the funny thing. I hate the prequels, but I will fight to the death to keep them as canon because they're canon. The prequels are canon. Doesn't matter if I don't like them. It doesn't matter. They're canon. And I will argue with anybody till I pass out from lack of breath that you cannot touch the canon. You cannot touch the prequels. You cannot retcon the prequels. They may be the stupid, heroin addicted, jobless, completely screw up in life uncle that still lives in your grandmother's basement. But guess what? He's your stupid uncle that lives in your grandmother's basement.
Exactly.
And he's still family. And to me, that's the prequels. I don't like the prequels. I don't have to spend time with my stupid uncle if I don't want to. I don't have to sit down and spend time watching the prequels. But guess what? They're canon. And don't you dare suggest to me that you retcon the canon because they're canon. You keep them. And that's kind of my attitude towards that. And that's how I feel about episode 8 as well. It's happened. It's canon. Now where do you go from there? So move on from there. And I know, guys, what do you think about JJ's comments, and do you believe him at this point? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that stuff out of the way, we're going to move into taking some live questions. But before we do, we're going to take just a couple of a minute break here to stretch the legs, rest the vocal cords, refill our drinks, maybe use the bathroom, and then we will be right back to take your questions. So hang in there with us, guys, and we will be right back. And we are back. Thank you guys for your patience as we stretch the legs a little bit. Let's now get into the live questions that you guys have been sending in. And we're going to get things started off here with Abe 10 Alpha, who writes, NFL games at AMC are a lot of fun. Go Seahawks. They are, except they still haven't shown a Patriots game. Like, me and my buddies have been waiting all 3 weeks. We were like, okay, are they showing a Patriot game this week? No. Okay, they're showing a Patriot game this week? No. So we've been staying at home watching. The moment they do that, I'm going to go watch an NFL game at an AMC because I think that sounds like a lot of fun. Orange Hand writes, best tasting fries you've ever had? That's an interesting question.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Best tasting fries I've ever had. Oddly enough, I think a Red Robin's garlic wedge fries with honey mustard sauce dipping. They're delicious. So I'll go there. What about you, Rob?
You know, it's funny that you say Red Robin because the first thing that I was going to say was that because Red Robin, I'm from Seattle, so I grew up with Red Robin.
And are they like a Seattle-based thing?
I think they were Seattle-based, if memory serves. But I like their giant, their seasoned steak fries.
Yeah, I like them when they're garlic. They're garlic seasoned steak fries.
Yeah, I don't know. Not the garlic ones, but the whatever their proprietary. I grew up with those fries. I love those fries. I love with a dipping barbecue sauce. Ooh,
they're good stuff. All right, let's see here. Cameron Belgrade writes, my top 10. Arrival, a little Denis Villeneuve in there. Birdman, Dark Knight, Doctor Strangelove, Goodfellas, Inception, Raiders of the Lost Ark, School of Rock. I don't think I've seen School of Rock on the... By the way, I went to go see the live musical presentation of the Pantages in Los Angeles. One of the worst live stage things I've ever seen was their School of Rock thing, but whatever. Shawshank Redemption and The Truman Show. So it's neat to see School of Rock in there. That's the first time I've seen that one in there. Interesting list, Cameron. All right. Big Meaty Claus writes, thoughts on Batman 89 and Batman Returns? Obviously, Batman 89, love it. It was great. I like Batman Returns. It's not in the same category for me as the original Batman, so there's that. Ryan Platt writes, Batman will be out June 2021, not July, my bad. I think that's true. I think that's true at any rate at this point. At this point, again, I'm in a position where I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing. They're just taking so long to get around this thing. It looks like it's happening. I'll just believe it when I see it. Donaldo Martinez writes, better leader, Captain Picard or Admiral Adama? Woo. Well, I'm going to go Adama, and here's why. Picard and Adama were in two very different situations.
Yes, they were.
Picard was... he's my favorite leader in all the Star Trek universe. But Adama was on a thing of humanity was basically almost extinct, and now they were the entire thing was they're on the run for their lives. They're trying to rebuild humanity while running for their lives at the same time, and the things he had to do to hold that whole thing together. I'm going to go Adama, but by a hair, just by a hair, because I would take Picard any day of the week as well. I don't know, Rob, your thoughts?
I'm going to have to go all in. As much as I love Picard, like you pointed out, it's a very different situation, and I think Adama as portrayed in Galactica was one of the great. Look what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
And Picard was never tested like that. So I would say that based on the situation, Adama by a wide margin.
All right. Let's see here. I think one will move to accommodate Spider-Man 3. I don't know what we're talking about. Like one of the MCU movies will move to accommodate Spider-Man 3 or
Batman or somebody in 2021 because it'd be Spider-Man and Batman would open the same month.
they're in the same month, but I don't think either of them will have to move. As long as they don't open 1 week after each other. Right. As long as you got 2 or 3 weeks buffer, I think everybody can be okay. Aaron Kin writes, but don't be surprised if you see somebody move dates. We've seen that before too. Aaron Kin writes, you've started 3 or 4 successful YouTube channels. Your business acumen is fantastic. You understand the importance of profitability without compromising your fandom. Why aren't you working for a major studio? LOL. My success is tempered. I'm successful by some standards, but not super successful by other standards. So it's tempered. You got to keep that in mind. I was actually offered a job at a studio once. I was offered, and I think I've told that story before. I was offered a job with one of the studios. Starting with, I don't know how much I can say and how much I can't say. It's not like it was a vice president's job or anything like that, don't get me wrong. But it had to do with the process of deciding which movies they were going to make. And I was offered a job like that. I just didn't think it was my forte, and it took away what I loved doing because I couldn't do what I loved doing at the same time. So I never did that. But I'm quite happy where I am. But don't get me wrong, if Bob Iger were to call me tomorrow and say, John, I want you to come. I'm promoting, Alan's retiring. We're going to promote Kevin Feige up to Alan Horn's role of chief of all of Disney Studios, and we need hire a couple of advisors. We want to hire you to be that. Of course. I'd be bye John Campea's YouTube channel. Bye. I'm going to go do that, but I don't think. I mean, while I'm super flattered, I'm not qualified. I mean, let's just be clear. I'm not qualified, but I love what I do. I love what I do. Rob, would you jump at a chance like that? Would you drop everything else and go take a studio job like that? Or are you just too much wanting to, into filmmaking and things like that?
No, I would absolutely take a studio job in one hot minute. I started out in the industry working at Warner Brothers in feature production. I loved working at the studio. It was great. I would love to take another job. I was development executive for a while in the 90s.
That's right, yeah.
I liked it. I mean, I really enjoyed that whole system. But I would temper... I just wouldn't want to be spinning my wheels. I would want a job that would result in actually making things, as opposed to spending time meeting with writers and talking about screenplays for years at a time and nothing gets made.
All right, next up here. Thank you for sending that in, Aaron. I appreciate that, man. Matthew Grant writes, John, did you get my email gift? If not, check it now. The hall pass coming soon to Peacock. Some things should never be allowed. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what it is. Now, understand, guys, I do get literally hundreds of emails every day. So sometimes you got to be a little bit more specific, but I haven't looked at the email since last night, when I put the show together today. So I will keep my eyes open for that, though, Matthew. All right, Luke1234 writes, the only Phase 4 movie I'm looking forward to is Doctor Strange 2. Everything else, yawn. Endgame finished so strong, I don't feel the need to see anymore. And, here's the funny thing, Luke. This actually was a topic we discussed the other day, Rob, about how, Endgame did its job so well...
Right.
That it's left a lot of people going, am I even excited about the MCU anymore? Now, of course, a lot of people are like, obviously we are, but it's true. There are a lot of people out there right now. They're like... we're moving into the era of Saved by the Bell, the new class. It's the new characters, and this isn't the same MCU anymore. Iron Man's gone. Captain America's gone. Spider-Man's still around, at least for 2 more films. But I get it. But I believe they can win that back. I think the reality is some excitement has diminished, but I think they can win it all back. If they crush it out of the park, if Black Widow is fantastic... And then what is it that comes after Black Widow before Shang-Chi? It's Eternals. Eternals comes out and crushes it. I think you're going to see the buzz get right back there. But I'll tell you what am I really excited? I'm super excited about Shang-Chi. That's the one I'm really stoked about. I'm probably most excited out of the 2021 films for that one. That's the one I'm probably most excited about. Rob, what about you?
Well, no, I loved Shang-Chi when I was a kid. I love Master of Kung Fu, so I can't believe we're even getting a Shang-Chi movie. So for me, I'm like, wow. And the Eternals, you're talking Jack Kirby, then Neil Gaiman wrote the Eternals. I'm a huge Eternals fan as well. So again, what I find really interesting about fandom is such a fickle bunch.
Oh, we are. We are.
And I just think, look, like you'd said, John, they're building a team again. We watched one team essentially go to the Super Bowl after having a very winning season. And a lot of people left, a lot of people retired, a lot of people were traded, and now we're starting again. And I'm looking forward to sort of going back to where Iron Man 1 was and having no expectations and walking into those movie theaters going, I wonder what they're going to do next. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. We'll see Black Widow. We know where she's going to wind up. So I like the fact that I'm going to go watch a movie like Black Widow and just enjoy it, without expectations. Like, how is this going to fit into the wider tapestry of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And then we're going to go enjoy these movies that we're seeing without, in a way, we're going into them with fresh eyes. And I like that.
Yeah,
I think that's
kind of
cool.
A new start. All right, next up, Marie Seifring writes, I watched All Rise premiere on Saturday. I really liked it, and Erin was great. Erin was great. I loved her in it. And, of course, she's going to be gone for the next 3 to 4 weeks because she's still not allowed to tell everybody what show it is. She told me. But She, on top of having this series All Rise, she just landed another role on another show, and she's had to fly to Atlanta. So she's on her way to Atlanta today, and she'll be gone for 3 to 4 weeks shooting all of her stuff for that show. We'll let you guys know what show that is here soon enough. But yeah, I loved seeing her on the premiere of that. I thought she was great in it. Ben Elman writes, Force Awakens tickets came out on October 19th, and Last Jedi tickets came out on October 9th. When would you think Rise of Skywalker tickets will go on sale? Honestly, Ben, my wholehearted answer is I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care when movie tickets come on sale. I mean, the only time I'm worried about when movie tickets come on sale the exact minute is when I think everything's going to sell out. And the last time I felt that was Endgame.
And they did.
And they did, to the point that, even though they had years to prepare for it, a lot of the sites still weren't prepared for it and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case. Like, I think as soon as I hear that the tickets for the Rise of Skywalker is on sale, I think I got a good 24 hours to buy my tickets. I think I got a good 24 hours. I mean, it's going to be busy. It's going to be a big opening weekend. It will. But I don't, it's not going to be a $300 million opening weekend.
Right.
I mean, it'd be great if it was, but it's not going to be. So I really don't care when the tickets go on sale, to be honest. They could go on sale tomorrow. They can go on ticket sale in a month. I really don't care. I know some people really do, and that's cool, but I really don't. What do you think, Rob?
I feel the same way.
Or do you have a theory about when they might go on sale?
Well, I mean, they've got to show us a final trailer soon.
Yeah.
Or a trailer soon, because they've only given us...
within the week.
Yeah, I think that we'll probably get it around the same time. October 9th sounds reasonable. Is there another big movie coming out that week? I don't know. But I think, when they release that new trailer, that's when we're going to get the tickets will go on sale too. So I think second week of October is a good bet.
Yeah, because that's what Disney did with Endgame. They
Yeah.
played the last trailer that ended with tickets on sale now.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll do with The Last Jedi as well, probably. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, going to have more cops on duty Joker weekend, WTF. Yeah, I don't mind that. I have no problem with that. Like, hey, it's never a bad idea to have more security. I don't care. And if there are idiot fucking morons out there who that want to do something stupid, then why not have more security? So I'm all for it. I don't think it's the end of the world if they didn't, but I'm all for it if they do. SC writes, if Sony and Disney split again after the new deal, which I think they will MCU be able to use a character with all the superpowers of Spider-Man, but with a different name, for example, Iron Spider? No. That would violate all sorts of laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Copyright law is done in such a way, and these licensing agreements are done in such a way that protects people from just like screwing around, something like that. So the answer to that is absolutely no. Rob, do you unless
No, they won't. Yeah, you bang on there. No, they can't do that.
Right. Okay. So moving on. Kevin Lewis writes, saw a leaked video of Multiverse of Madness in one universe. John Campea likes ketchup on eggs. Chris goes on insane rants. Robert Meyer Burnett hates too much gun violence in movies. And Aaron knows the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. I like that. Still, I'm getting what's the word you're looking for? I'm getting a panic attack. Just having a flashback, like a traumatic flashback to that moment when Aaron said that. I honestly thought, I swear to God, Kevin, I thought I was going to pass out. I didn't know if I could get myself breathing again. Like I just, you ever fall on your back? This would happen to me when I could be snowboarding. If I fall and like go up in the air and land flat on my back, you're not hurt, but you can't breathe for a second. Like everything's freezing up and you can't, it takes a second to be able to breathe again. That's how I felt when Aaron made that joke. Like I felt like I was so stunned I couldn't breathe. All right. Willow Yang writes, The Irishman looks like another win in the long collaboration between Scorsese and De Niro. What are some of your favorite director-actor duos? Well, I mean, obviously, with Scorsese, there's Scorsese De Niro. But then that kind of became Scorsese DiCaprio, which was great. A lot of people love the Burton Depp thing. I'm not as big of a fan of that one per se. Joss Whedon and Nathan Fillion is one with me. Do you got any, Rob?
Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart. Hitchcock and Jimmy. Vertigo, Rear Window. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but it's it looks
John
like,
Carpenter and Kurt Russell. The Thing, Escape from New York, and Big Trouble in Little China. It's a good one.
I'm waiting. I really want to see DiCaprio and De Niro in a Scorsese film, like actually the two leads, and that's like all universes coming together right there. That's what I would love to see. All right. Tall Dude 3231 writes, "Hey John, thoughts on the new Kingsman trailer? Looks good." Rob and I were talking about that a little bit. It looks good. Looks a lot like the last trailer. Yeah. As far as tone, it just okay. I didn't really get anything new, but I liked the last trailer as well. So I had no interest in another Kingsman because I thought, look, I'm not going to pull any punches. I thought Kingsman 2 sucked. I remember I saw it the first time. I'm like, well, it was all right. I mean, not as good as the first one. It was all right. And then I saw it again. I'm like, no, I was lying to myself. This movie's terrible.
Yeah.
As much as I loved the first one, I'm really disappointed in the second one. And I lost a lot of my passion for anything Kingsman related. But this looks very different. And it looks good. Did you like the looks of this new trailer?
I did. I mean, the whole idea of going back and showing how this organization began, we're the first, independent intelligence organization, and I love Ray Fiennes, and I'll watch it. It looked really interesting, and it looked more grounded. Like you, I really didn't like Golden Circle. I love the first Kingsman.
Oh, so good.
And I love Julianne Moore.
Oh, of course.
And I was really disappointed. I thought it was not good.
No, it was terrible. By the way, Ray Fiennes, I still contend he is the greatest actor on the planet without an Oscar on his mantle. I don't think there's a better actor alive that doesn't have an Oscar on their mantle.
He's so good.
He's better than your favorite actor. I mean, that's, well, not always, obviously, but he's one of the best in the world. Let's see. Nosferatu writes, read them. Have you page turners? They were not. Wait, did Yoda not teach him the Jedi code? I'm confused. Help me out here. Well, first of all, that was a page turners there or not. I love that line in The Last Jedi, actually. But here's the thing that everybody keeps forgetting. I have this argument all the time. Luke had no time with Yoda. He spent a day and a half with Yoda. A lot. That's why I get in these arguments with people you do realize Luke essentially had no training, right? He had a couple hours doing some drills with a probe droid shooting lasers at him. And then he ran some obstacle courses in the woods with Yoda on his back and levitated a rock or two. Luke had no training. He had none. So no, Luke did not have a chance to go to Jedi school with Yoda and sit down there. That's why when he was leaving, Yoda's like, yo, WTF, we've just gotten started here. Where are you going? I gotta go help my friends. Save them you might, but, so there was all that. But nope, I don't think Yoda ever read the ancient Jedi texts until long after the events of the Return of the Jedi. Rob, have you ever interpreted that differently?
I do. I mean, I've had conversations. I think Empire Strikes Back takes place over the course of months. Because remember, the Empire, the hyperdrive on the Falcon is damaged. So it probably took months for the Millennium Falcon to get to Bespin. I think Luke was with Yoda on Dagobah for months. I've always thought that.
Okay. I don't think there's anything that suggests that.
Well, I think that
you could look at it that way.
Yeah, you're looking at the passage of time. I mean, like when he goes into the cave, that came after a long time. Like we see Yoda or Luke, levitating off one hand, and he's got Yodas in the air, the rocks are in the air, and I think it took a while for him to get to that point. And I think a case could be made Luke's there for weeks training with Yoda.
I don't see anything in the thing that suggests that, but that is one way of looking at it. I mean, but even if it were, it's not the 18 years of whatever. No. I mean, essentially he had no training, whether it was there for a couple of days, which I think is what the movie suggests, whether it was, as you interpret it, a number of weeks, it's still he had no training.
Right.
I mean, at the end of it. But so no, I don't think Yoda had those texts with him. I think Luke went out after the events of Return of the Jedi and during all of his questing around the galaxy trying to find everything he could on the Jedi. I think that's when he probably came across them or found them there on the island. All right, next up here. Matsif Jada writes, a movie theater should use candy bags that don't crunch. I'll be honest with you. You know what? Here's when it's bothered me. It's bothered me when I'm the one with the bag. It's never bothered me when other people are opening up a bag of M&Ms. Honestly, it's never bothered me. The only time the sound ever bothers me is when I'm the one opening the bag of M&Ms. I'm super self-conscious about it and going, but that's up to the candy manufacturers to make special things. But guess what? If they did that, you know what's going to happen to the cost of those candy things? They're going to skyrocket because now they got to make specialized packages for it. So I'm not that. Have you ever been bothered that much by the sound of rappers in a theater?
No, but I'm like you. I feel like I'm hyper aware if I'm making too much noise. Like I won't even stick my hand into packages of M&Ms or candy if I'm making too much noise, because I'm like, I don't want to be that dude.
Dude, I wait until there's something going on screen with noise going on screen, then I do it.
Totally, and I've perfected a way I can slide like 2 fingers into a bag of candy, capture like a couple of M&Ms.
Is that a euphemism? Sorry.
No. I mean that sincerely. Like I've figured out a way to slide my hands into candy bags where I don't rustle them and they don't make noise, and I can still get the candy out, because I don't want to. Sometimes when you're in a packed house, you're right next to people.
Yeah.
And like if you're crunching on something or making if you can't get into your bag of M&Ms, I feel like it's rude. Like the person's right on top of you, he's right next to you, she's right next to you, and she can hear you being not deft in getting your candy out of your container.
And
I
yet,
don't like
if
that.
she's doing the same thing, it never actually bothers me.
No.
You know what else made me paranoid? Okay, so I got my Reese's Pieces. It's when I've got them in my mouth and I'm chewing on them, and like, remember, your bones are all connected, right? So I'm chewing them, and in my ears, it sounds like it's super loud. So on more than one occasion, I've like leaned over to Anne, said, Anne, here, eat these 2 things. Just so I can hear if I can hear her crunching on them, and I can't hear anything. But still, when I'm hearing on them, I stop chewing them and I start just sucking on them, so I don't make noise for people.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm right there with
so
you.
Paranoid.
This is something I think we've identified a new social disorder,
a new social phobia.
Some kind of I never knew I had it. Now I know.
All right, let's move on here. Quinn Fowley writes, 1 of 2. As much as I'm looking forward to seeing a 3rd installment of the MCU Spider-Man franchise, I personally feel like it'd be wiser for them to hold off on releasing it until summer of 2022. Not only do I think 4 MCU films in a year is a bit excessive, I say that as someone who worships the MCU, but also seems really ambitious for both Marvel and Sony to think this movie can be made in less than 2 years. First of all, Fowley, thank you for sending in such a big super chat. We appreciate you supporting the channel on that level. 2 years is a easy amount of time. It's a perfect amount of time. Remember, they probably already did a lot of development, and remember, they already had that release date set because they thought they were going to do it together. They didn't foresee the problems that were coming. They thought they were doing it. There was probably already a lot of pre-pro done. They probably already got the story done for it. 2 years is not too long of a time. It really isn't. 2 years is perfectly good. And I'm thinking, Rob, and maybe you disagree, my thought is that if they're moving ahead with the Spider-Man they thought they were going to do, then it needs to open when it's coming out. Because probably if they move it, then that throws some information out from the other movies that maybe they might be referencing and stuff like that for us. So, and listen, I'm with you, Quinn, to the degree that I think, yeah, they might find that 4 in 1 year is too much. They might. But they did 3, and 3 worked. And I don't see a problem with experimenting with 4. And you're right. Maybe it does come out and feel, you know what? It's in 1 year. It's a little bit much. We need a little bit more breathing time. Maybe. But I think there's a good enough chance that it won't overwhelm us, that it's worth trying. And if it doesn't work, then hey, then no worries. The following year they do 3. The year after that they just keep it at 3 and don't do 4 again. But I think it's worth trying. Rob, what do you think about that? Do you think, number one, that is it too ambitious to try to get this done in 2 years? And do you think maybe it's too ambitious doing 4 in a year?
No, well, I don't, because they've already done a lot of the groundwork on this movie clearly, and I think 2 years is about the right amount of time to make these kinds of films, even a year and a half. I mean, it's like James Bond movies. They've pretty much honed them. They can make a Bond movie in a year and a half because they've got a crack team of people that know what they're doing. The MCU is like they've got this stuff down to a science. They know what they're doing. They've got their effects people in place. They can bang these things out in 2 years, and that's a luxury. That's a good amount of time, and they're hitting the ground running.
All right, let's move on here. Dropkick Aggie writes, the good Texan kids / co-hosts have really classed up the joint. Just saw Abominable. Pretty damn good story, character-wise and visually beautiful. And of course, they're talking about Chris and Aaron. You know what? I was pleasantly surprised by Abominable. I really was. Now, it's not Pixar level. It's not Coco. It's not, WALL-E. It's not on that level. It's a really nice little film, though. that had me smiling a lot through the movie and had my heart feeling warm a lot through the movie as well. And I recommend, look, it's obviously not a film for everybody, and it's more designated for kids per se, but they did a nice little job with this movie. And I recommend, if you're looking for something to do, tonight or tomorrow night, I honestly, it is not the biggest waste of your time to go out and try that abominable movie. It was a charming little film. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, I predict a woman will be the next leader of the Avengers as per the comic books, Wasp, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, or even Monica Rambeau. Thoughts? Well, I mean, here's the thing about that. There was Captain America. I mean, who's Captain America? He's clearly the leader of the Avengers. Okay, fine. So he's gone. I don't know. I don't know that as per the comics, Captain Marvel could be, sure. I don't know that Wasp is at all qualified to be the leader of the Avengers, not just from power level or lack thereof, but she's got no real experience. Per se. So I don't know there. Black Widow is gone, but they could very easily undead her. And they already kind of suggested she became the leader of the Avengers. It looked like Cap kind of took himself out of the equation until the events of Endgame. It looks like after the events of Infinity War, he pulled himself out and Black Widow was there. It was Nat who was running the show. So that's a possibility as well. I don't know. Doctor Strange seems to make the most, if Black Widow comes back, it's Black Widow. If not, to me, it seems that Doctor Strange makes the most sense. That's how I'm feeling about it at any rate. Rob, what do you think? Could we see one of these female characters be the next leader?
Oh, I think absolutely we can. What's interesting is we haven't seen an Avengers that had a real leadership structure yet. I mean, we had Iron Man and Captain America, but it wasn't like somebody was in there calling the shots. It was more like, we're part of a club. We've all agreed to be here, but we all can kind of go off and do our own things. I mean, it wasn't like, I'm the leader, you're following my lead, this is our military-like structure. We haven't seen an Avengers like that. I would love to see that, much more of a paramilitary force with a chain of command. I think that could be cool, and I think a female leader would be great. And of course, we have seen the comics. Even like we talked about Wasp, she has led the Avengers,
right,
and Captain Marvel, and we'll see. I mean, I would like to see that. Actually, I'd like to see a more formal military structure with an Avengers team, where there is a very delineated chain of command, and somebody actually gives orders on the battlefield. I'd love to see that.
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to the battlefield, there have been several instances where everybody turns to Cap. Like, even in the first Avengers, when they're all in the streets and Tony goes, call it Cap.
Right.
And then Cap shouts out everybody's orders and what they're supposed to do. And then the one scene in Age of Ultron, which I always loved, was they just got back from the first mission. Colby Smulders comes walking on the plane, and she talks to Tony because at that point, remember, she was working, I believe, for Stark Industries at that point. And she goes, hey, boss, we got the blah, blah, blah. And Tony says, he's the boss, like Parts of Captain America.
Right.
I just pay for everything, which I thought was a hilarious line. But you're right. We've never seen, like, outside of the battlefield, like a power structure per se in there. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do in that moving forward. But I think the one that makes more sense, number one, if they bring Black Widow back, she's already kind of assumed that role.
Yeah, she definitely had an Endgame.
If not, then I'm still going to stick with Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is the one that makes most sense. But it's an interesting question, man. We'll have to wait and find out. All right. Metal Vegan writes, top 10. 10, The Mighty Ducks, really. Number 9, Spaceballs. I love Spaceballs. Number 8, The Addams Family. Number 7, The Mask. I love The Mask. Number 6, the 1990 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Number 5, Army of Darkness. Number 4, The Gangs of New York. Number 3, Hellraiser. Number 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And number 1, The Big Lebowski. That is an eclectic group of films. Like, who would have ever thought you'd see The Mighty Ducks and Martin Scorsese's The Gangs of New York on the same top 10 list? That's what I love about these lists, is seeing these things like Metal Vegans here. They're just such a wild, weird group of films all put together. And that's the beauty of the movies, man, is that they can make these films. They can be completely different, be totally different from ours, and still be a really fun list of films. And I love that you got Scott Pilgrim on there as well. All right, next up. The McDougal Bugle writes, told you money wasn't going to stand between Happy Hogan and Aunt May. Well, hey, listen, don't forget. This is the other thing. Don't assume that they're going to be together in Spider-Man 3. Remember, there was Tony and Pepper, and then all of a sudden we come into another movie, and where's Pepper? And Tony says, me and Pepper are on a break. Okay, and just like that. Or, Jane and Thor. All of a sudden, Jane's just gone. This MCU has a history of just ending important relationships. Remember all that build up to Nat and Bruce? Just gone. Just gone. They do that all the time. So I'm not saying they're going to do that, Rob. I'm not saying we're going to get into Spider-Man 3 and the happy Aunt May thing won't be a thing anymore, but I'm just saying don't be surprised because the MCU will ditch a romantic relationship will sacrifice that if they got a different idea that they want to do real quick and real easy. Do you think they're going to still be together in the next one?
Well, I think their dynamic is so much fun.
It is. I love it.
And I'd like to see it continue. I mean, from a movie going standpoint, I hope it does.
All right, next up. We've got MP who writes, I can't wait for the Marvel What If episode where Spider-Man just uses the Iron Man suit because it's safer, voiced by Leonardo DiCaprio. Listen, I said this before. My first choice was always that Disney and Sony get their act together and make a deal. But I was going, hey, if that's not happening, at least we get to see Spider-Man separated from the stupid Iron Man Jr. stuff. And maybe, just maybe, the next villain won't be another disgruntled former employee of Tony Stark. That would be great. Somebody wrote in the other day, man, now that they're back together, I can't wait for Spider-Man 3, where the big villain is somebody Tony once cut off in traffic. Which is kind of true. I mean, look, there were good things that could have happened as a result of the separation. But at the end of the day, and I don't think I'm alone in this, at the end of the day, I still think ideally the best thing to happen is to have them do this, even if, which I think is starting to look like, Variety ran an article that kind of suggested that Kevin Feige is going to be using this to ease Spider-Man out of the MCU. And if that's the case, I think that's a very good move, but I still love the idea that they're making them together again here, but voiced by Leonardo DiCaprio. Rob, I know you're excited about the What If series.
I am, because I love those comics, and I love the fact that we're going to have a look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe from a different perspective. The only thing is, a lot of the What If comics ended with the end of the world. Something really cataclysmic would happen, and they were a little fatalistic. I don't think the What If series, I don't expect that to be the case.
All right. Next up says Brendan Millspaw, who writes, I'm almost certain I know the YouTuber you're referring to on Saturday's open mic that you were considering. While their channel may seem negative, I will say they're actually quite talented. I can guarantee you don't. I can absolutely guarantee you don't know who I was talking about. So what I was mentioning the other day was, I always try to encourage, when I do my panels and stuff like that, talking about how to get into start blogging or podcasting or YouTubing, whatever. One of the things I really try to encourage people is be known by what you love. Don't be known for what you hate. That's the thing. Just don't be known and identified by what it is you hate. Be known and identified by what it is you love. That doesn't mean you're not going to hate some things sometimes. Of course you are. But just be known for that. Don't let me go to your blog and see every single post is why I hate this and why I hate that and why this is stupid and why that's stupid and why these people are idiots. Don't be that. Be known for what you love. And I was telling the story that a friend of mine suggested that we have a certain YouTuber on one of our panels. And I wasn't familiar with the YouTuber, but I went to the YouTuber's page and I swear, every of the 30 plus videos that were all on the page, they were all about why everything, it was basically everything fell under one of 4 topics. And every one of those, all 30 videos about 4 topics, not one video about each topic, but each topic had 5 or 6 or 7 videos dedicated to it. And it was all about why all this stuff sucks. And this sucks, and this sucks, and this sucks. I'm just like, I don't think I can, on a panel where I'm constantly encouraging people be known by what you love, I don't know if I can bring a YouTuber on that everything that identifies them is about every single video on their front page is why this sucks, and why this sucks, and why this sucks, and why this sucks, and I hate this person, I hate that person, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, because I don't think that's good, personally. That's just me. But I can guarantee you, Brendan, you have no idea who it was. I can give you that absolute guarantee you have no idea who it was. And by the way, just because they do that does not negate that they could be completely untalented or completely talented. You can be completely talented and not necessarily do the right things. I know I've got some talent, some things, but I often do the wrong thing anyway. So that's the case, but I can absolutely guarantee you, Brendan, you have no idea who it was. You absolutely don't. All right. Brendan also writes, also, I loved Ad Astra, but it's okay that you didn't like it. Not everyone can be smart enough to get it. Oh, and I know you're just joking. Just kidding. Hope you had a great weekend. Pump for Joker. No, again, that's the thing with me and Ad Astra, Rob, is that it really frustrates me because take a movie like Interstellar, right? Interstellar and Ad Astra were both movies with high stakes. They were both movies that asked deep questions, both on a universal level, but also personal issue level and interrelationship levels and stuff like that, and had all of those building blocks there, all of them there. The one thing, though, is that to me, Interstellar put those building blocks together in such a way that was a really effective package that communicated on all those building blocks that they had so successfully brought together. Whereas Ad Astra put their building blocks together in such a way that I found very dry and dull and didn't communicate the depth of those great things they put together as building blocks. So one worked for me and one didn't, but they had a lot of similarities nonetheless, right? But I mean, they're absolutely right. I mean, this Ad Astra is a great example of why movies are subjective. I watched it, I was bored out of my mind. Other people watched it, thrilled with it and loved it. I can't remember. I think you did see Ad Astra, right?
Yes.
And what was your thought on it again?
My thoughts on it were I can't get past all of... If you're going to tell me a space story that's set in our solar system, you have to make me believe in the science because I know too much about space. And when they're saying something's coming from Neptune that can hurt our planet, whether it's a surge or a power, and how long it takes to go from place to place, there was so much of it that I just couldn't get past. So much goofy science. I'm like, why do you have to make it like this? Like, as a viewer, I'm always looking for verisimilitude, realism. And that movie, like, okay, we're on the moon. There's a moon buggy chase. Suddenly there are space pirates. There's literally moon pirates. And it's a cool chase. And I'm asking myself, who do they work for? Where do they come from? Why are there moon pirates? I mean, we really haven't. Somebody makes one comment. They're like, there's moon pirates out there. Like, why? And
how?
I'm watching this action scene and I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything. And it made me realize I want to see a movie about moon pirates. You know, what are they doing here? And then there's other stuff. I don't want to get in too much more into spoilers, but I'll just say baboon, monkey, you know, what's going on there, people?
Yeah, well, yeah, for different reasons. But hey, that's the beauty of these films is that certain people like Rob and I can watch it, not dig it. Other people will watch the exact same movie and love it.
But
and
I
that's
love
the beautiful
the
thing.
idea behind it.
Yeah,
so I didn't
all the
hate
building
it.
blocks were there.
Yeah.
They had all the building blocks. I think they did a really good job with that part.
I wanted to love it too, John.
Oh, me too. Yeah, we were all excited about it. I loved everything about it. I was so excited for it. All right, Nathan Fillion. Nathan Oswald writes, over under 30% directs an MCU or DCU movie in the next 5 years. I'll go over on that, but exclusively about DCEU. I don't see him doing an MCU film. I just don't see the types of films Kevin Feige likes and wants to make. I don't see Kevin Feige a match for that. But I think Kevin Feige can make some bonkers kind of movie and fit that into the DCU.
You mean Kevin Smith?
Sorry, what did I say?
Kept saying Kevin Feige.
Did I keep saying Kevin Feige? Sorry about that. Kevin Smith. I think he I don't think Kevin Feige wants that sort of thing in the MCU. He's very structured in what he wants in his MCU. But in the DCU, where you got James Gunn in there doing something right now, and they'll go a little bit more wacky and individual. I go over 30% that within the next 5 years we see Kevin Smith do a DCEU film. What about you, Rob?
I think you might be right about that, but it'll be much more character based. You know, something
and dialogue driven.
Yes.
If it's Kevin Smith, it's dialogue driven. Jeremy Shibasu writes, new Kingsman trailer is badass. Can't wait. Again, I liked it. I'm just not, rocked by it because tone, temperature, everything was very, very similar to the last one, which I also very much liked the last one. So
yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Dill Aberts writes, no Groot, you'll die. Oh, we are Groot. Oh, such a great moment at the end of the first. I mean, when you think about it, Rob, the gimmick of the character just says the same thing over and over again. If you were to tell me that, obviously I'm familiar with Groot from the comics already, but blank page, you tell me there's this character who all he ever says is we are Groot. I'm thinking that will get tired after about minute 15 of the movie. That'll get really tired, but it never does.
No.
And then it sets up at the end with this big emotional sacrifice moment and this "We are Groot." It's like, who would, like, on paper, I would not have thought that could have worked.
Well, it's great the way they also have Rocket, who's able to sort of act as the translator.
Yes.
And he'll do both sides of the conversation and stuff. I love that. I think it just shows how clever James Gunn really is to have made that work.
I agree. All right, last question we're going to have here with Rob, because Rob's got things he's got to do. But DJ CD01 writes, "Hey gang, favorite MCU moment to date? My favorite is still going to be Avengers Endgame with Cap standing alone, then assemble." That's a great one. We've talked about this a few times. Then there's one from Infinity War when Thor stands out. I think I've got to go to Infinity War. The moment, it's that scene where Thor is talking to Rocket about all the things he's lost. There's something about that scene that really epitomizes why the MCU movies are so special. In that they got the bang and the boom, but man, they've got heart, and they go depth into their character. Not all the time, but they will delve into deep parts of characters and their motivations and who and what they are. And I think that one scene with Rocket is... Well, that ends with, "And what if you're wrong?" Then he says, "And what else do I have to lose?" I mean, they're like that. I felt like Thanos just punched me in the gut when I heard Chris Hemsworth read that line. I think it is the finest acting ever done in the MCU in a single scene. I think it's one of the most moving scenes ever in the MCU, especially when you understand the galactic nature of these characters talking about problems real people would have, about loss and suffering and things. To me, that's it. I think that is still, to me, the greatest scene ever in the MCU. That's mine. But the ones you mentioned are certainly absolutely fantastic as well. Rob, do you got one that really stands out to you?
I have to say, I love the scene in Endgame where Cap and Black Widow were just talking, in the office. It wasn't a particular line, but, the world had been snapped, the decimation happened, and Captain America was coming really to check on her, to see how she was doing. And he talks about seeing, what does he say? He says he saw a whale in the Hudson River, that the wildlife is coming back and why she's doing what she's doing. And to me, it was like, here's a scene about people. They weren't superheroes. At the end of the day, they're just people. And they were talking, and it seemed like it could have been from any movie. Any movie that was a legitimate drama where people were trying to deal with keeping the world the place they want to live in. And you really saw the weight of what had happened, and yet the reason they're superheroes is because at the core of their beings, they have the heart, and they have the love and the caring for the rest of humanity. And I thought that was great.
All right, and on such an eloquent statement, I think this is a good time for us to say goodbye to Robert for the day. Of course, Robert, you'll be back again tomorrow.
I will.
But listen, where can people find you in all your magnificence online?
Well, you can find me being the existential Mr. Rogers on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, and its adjacent website, theburnettwork.net.
And Rob, again, thanks for being here today, dude. And we will see you again tomorrow, and we'll look forward to that. All right, guys, with that down, we still got like a half hour we can keep going. So we're going to keep rolling here with these questions that you guys have been sending in. So let's start things off with Jetfire97, who writes, "Do you think the quote, 'If you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it,' is like Tony's take on 'with great power comes great responsibility'?" We're getting into pure speculation here. I don't speculate that was Tony's take on it, but it's definitely reminiscent of it. I mean, there clearly is, from an audience point of view, there is clearly some sort of connection and a common theme, if you will, between those statements. Like if you need the power to be what you are, then you shouldn't have the power. I mean, that's kind of a way of saying it, right? In another way. Now, again, do I think that was Tony's purpose of saying that? No, I don't necessarily think so. But I think for us as audience members, Jetfire, I think you're very astute in seeing a connection between that, because there's definitely a similar theme there. So I'm with you on that. All right. Unbeatable writes, Love how trailers and movies sometimes revive old great. Let me try this again. Love how trailers and movies sometimes revive old, great, sometimes forgotten classic rock songs like Guardian of the Galaxy and The Kingsman just did. Yeah, especially, like, there have been a number of movies in the last couple of years where the soundtrack, not the score, but the soundtrack of a movie has been like, has had a lot of attention paid to it. Like, oh my God, the soundtrack on this is going to be this, and everything. Guardians of the Galaxy clearly did that. And so when we were heading into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, one of the big questions wasn't what's Star-Lord going to do now? Or does Star-Lord find his father? Or where are the Guardians now? How's their dynamic relationship? The question a lot of people was asking is, what's the soundtrack? What songs are going to be on the soundtrack for Run 2, right? It became a big thing. And it is kind of cool that the way music like that can be brought back in ways like that. So it's a good observation, Unbeatable. And then Unbeatable also writes, top 5 in no particular order: Princess Bride, Die Hard, Better Off Dead, and I did not expect to see that one on there, The Goonies, and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You know what? That is a movie that I am finding, I just assumed for a while everybody's seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I'm finding out more and more lately, a lot of people have still not watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Guys, watch that movie. Watch that movie. John Goodman, obviously the Clune is a big star, but it is absolutely fantastic. It's great. Now, you never believe for a second that it's actually George Clooney singing the song, I am a man of constant sorrow. Like, you never believe for a second that that's him, but that's okay. You get over it. It's so good. Take Unbeatable's recommendation here, folks, and make sure you watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I am a man. Anyway, Static Space Sean writes, Legend says De Niro's still waiting for his hand. Okay, hold on a second. Just so, let me see. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know if I can or not. I'll just see if I can. So, for those of you who don't know what Static Space Sean is talking about, a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure, I have to find this. Give me a second to see if I can find it. So, just to lay the groundwork for this. A number of years ago, a studio invited me to go to, where am I looking here? To go to Vegas to do press interviews for the cast of Last Vegas. I love the movie Last Vegas. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Hold on a second. I cannot find, let's see. Let me, I don't know if I can find it. Oh, there it is. So I went, for those of you who haven't seen this before, because it was a number of years ago now. So I went to Vegas to interview the cast of Last Vegas. I love that movie. I love Last Vegas. I don't think there's anybody who likes that movie as much as I do. And you're talking about a stellar cast: Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, anyway, Kevin Kline. And I got to go in and sit in a room for 10 minutes with just me, Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, and Kevin Kline. And I got to sit in a room with those 4 guys and talk to them for like 10 minutes. And it was awesome. And so I finished the interview. And I'm telling them, guys, this has been a thrill for me. Thank you so much. And I didn't notice, but Robert, this is a true picture. This is the real thing, ladies and gentlemen. Robert De Niro, as I say, guys, thank you so much for letting me be here. This has been an honor. Robert De Niro stretches out his hand to shake my hand, being so kind, and I totally left him hanging. You can see me there walking away. That's me standing up and getting ready to walk out of picture. I did not notice or see Robert De Niro stretching out his hand to shake my hand. So here's how this all came down. I sent the video footage of this interview back to Dennis, right? I'm like, so because Dennis was going to cut it up and put the video together for me. and do the editing on it. And about an hour after I sent Dennis the footage, I get this text message from Dennis going, did you know you left Robert De Niro hanging? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he sends me this, Dennis sends me this still image of Robert De Niro sitting there with his hand out and me leaving him hanging. I have never been so embarrassed after the fact. I have never been so embarrassed after the fact in my life than realizing I left Robert De Niro hanging one time. I have never wanted so badly in my professional career. My personal life, maybe it's different, but in my professional career, wishing I could roll it back and do something a little bit differently than when Robert De Niro tried to shake my hand and I left him hanging. God, I felt like such an idiot. Anyway, thanks for reminding me of that painful memory, Static Space Sean. Ryan Lohner writes, you have to wonder how many people these days think The Shining invented the line, "Here's Johnny," knowing nothing about Johnny Carson. Actually, that's probably true. Man, do you know every once in a while, I will, not like every month, but once or twice a year, I find myself going down a YouTube rabbit hole. You know, a YouTube rabbit hole. You start watching a video about something and then you just watch 3 or 4 or 5 or 16 more videos about that one thing. But once a year, I get down a Johnny Carson rabbit hole. Well, I'll find this something funny that he did on The Tonight Show once, and then I'll watch another Johnny Carson video, and then I'll watch another Johnny Carson video. That dude was the king. I mean, there are a lot of good late night talk show hosts now, but they all have to bend the knee to Johnny Carson. He was the best. He was absolutely the best. Jabin Carter writes, one of 27. Here are my top 300 movies, least to greatest. Just kidding, John. You and the crew have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Jabin. 1 of 27. I like that. I had a great weekend. I had a fabulous Saturday. Sunday was great. Had some friends come over. We watched football all day. Just watched me some football all day and then worked in the evening getting today's show ready. But it was a good day. My Patriots won squeaker against the undefeated Buffalo Bills. But fun day, man. I had a great one. So thank you so much for that, Jabin. I appreciate it, man. Static Space Sean writes, what kind of music do you play? Can we ever hear it? I play a lot of different kind of stuff, but mostly like rock, that sort of basically like rock and top 40 rock and stuff like that. Because mostly like I do play piano and stuff like that, but I mostly like to just play my acoustic guitar. That's what I like to play most. So usually the music I play is music that best goes along with an acoustic guitar. And I pull out the electric once in a while too, but I have once or twice pulled out the guitar, and when I lost a bet, I'll never forget this one time I lost a bet with a buddy of mine. It was based on football. And the bet was, if I lose, I had to sing, what was it? What did I have to sing? I had to sing, Hootie and the Blowfish. Only Want to Be With You. I had to sing, I lost the bet and I had to pull out the guitar and sing that on the show. So I did that once. And then I think somebody, I think it was one of our servicemen wrote to me, and I think if I remember it correctly, I might not be remembering, I think they were being deployed and they asked me, because Logan was out, and they asked me to sing that Johnny Cash tune. So I did that briefly and embarrassed myself, but I've done it a couple of times. All right, Jeannie Judd sends in a really large super chat. Thank you, Jeannie, for supporting the channel on that level. I appreciate that greatly. And Jeannie writes, putting aside Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter, my top 10. Much Ado About Nothing. That's great. Pride and Prejudice. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. That's one that's never been mentioned. Pirates of Penzance. I am the very model of a modern major general. Anyway, the Pirates of Penzance. Gone with the Wind. Dirty Dancing. Fight Club. Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. Casablanca. And Wrath of Khan. Again, a great list. I love that list. That is one of the most unique lists we've had, because I think I've never seen Pride and Prejudice on a top 10 yet. I don't think anybody else put Much Ado About Nothing in there. I've never seen anybody put Pirates of Penzance in there. I don't think we've seen Dirty Dancing in there. We've seen Fight Club. We've seen Casablanca. We have seen Wrath of Khan. But seeing Pride and Prejudice on a list with Wrath of Khan. I think that's awesome. And I'm so tickled that you have Pirates of Penzance in there. I love that. Way to go, Jeannie. Nice list. I dig it. Very different from a lot of lists we've had. And that's the great things about movies. So thanks for sharing that, Jeannie. And by the way, guys, I hope a lot of you guys, like when you see these lists and there's movies on there that maybe you've never seen or thought of or heard of, that it motivates you to check them out. I've gotten some emails from some of you guys before saying, oh, I've never even heard of this movie and this person said it was great, so I checked it out and I loved it. A lot of movies on Jeannie's list you should check out if you haven't had a chance to yet. All right, James Lockman writes, 1 of 3. John, I don't think I'll ever understand why people get so upset and offended when you have a difference of opinion other than theirs. As you always say, it's a subjectivity of film. When I was a kid, I grew up watching At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert. I love that show, especially when they disagreed about things. There was always great arguments between the two, and in the end, they had respect for one another. I got to meet Roger Ebert here in Hawaii. I never had a chance to meet Roger Ebert. That's awesome. Back in early 2001, and what a super nice guy he was. He chuckled and found it funny that I'd want his autograph. I miss those guys. Well, see, here's the thing, James, and this is what I attribute it to. That, like, you talk about whether you like red or blue. Okay, whatever. You talk about whether you like Chinese food or Italian food. Okay, whatever. But you say you like a movie that somebody else hates. Oh, now they're offended. You say you hate a movie that they love. Oh, now they're offended. Like, it gets personal. I think this is where it comes from. This is my thought on it anyway. As a species, we can be pretty weak. We can be pretty weak when it comes to certain things. And this is what happens when I think you're a little bit weak-minded. And we all can be from time, let's be clear, we all can be from time to time. But when you're in one of those moments where you're a little bit weak-minded, see, some people, they attach their opinion to who they are as a person, right? A lot of people will attach their opinion to the totality of who they are as a person. Like, I love Star Wars, but being a lover of Star Wars is not everything about who and what I am, right? Because if you attach your opinion to something, to who you are as a person, then here's the thing. When somebody says they don't like the thing of your opinion, now you take that as not an attack against your opinion, you take it as an attack on you as a person. My opinion is so intrinsically connected to who I am as a person that if you disagree with my opinion, you are attacking not only my opinion, but by extension, you are attacking me. And people get offended by that. So, like, I've seen, like, that's why, like, when somebody comes up to me and says, you know, I never liked Star Wars. It just seems like a kiddie thing. I never saw the appeal of it. I just go, oh, that sucks. I wish you did, but you don't. Okay, whatever. Even though Star Wars is my favorite movies in the world. But it's not, they're not attacking me. They disagree about my opinion of a movie. Oh, well, no big deal. But a lot of times, people are so invested that they love the MCU. Oh, Marvel is so great, it's the MCU. They get so connected to that they see their own who they are as a person attached to it. And if somebody else comes along and says, man, I don't like the MCU, what they hear is, you don't like me. They're so invested in their opinion that they love the MCU so much that they're so connected to the totality of their personhood that if a person comes to them and says, I don't like the MCU, or I don't like Captain America, or I don't like that MCU movie, what they hear is not, we have a difference of opinion. They hear, I don't like you. If a person says, I think an MCU movie is stupid, what they hear is, I think you're stupid. If they think, I think that movie is garbage, and you love that movie, what the person hears is, I think you're garbage. And again, we can all be susceptible to this, but we so intrinsically connect our opinion on something to who we are as a person. And if somebody speaks against what our opinion is, we take that as them speaking against us personally. And I think that's a big part of the reason why we've had this ridiculous, I mean, it's not as bad today as it was, but we had this for years, this terrible, terrible, like toxic thing going on between DC fans and Marvel fans. Like, DC is garbage. It's like, to like one meant you had to automatically hate the other. Whereas I've just been always saying, hey man, I'm just a fan of comic book movies. I don't care what corporate labels on it. Just give me good comic book movies. But it's a big thing, man. And now I'm not trying to oversimplify it and say that's the exclusive reason why, not at all. But I have found, James, in my experience, that when you really dig down into it, people get they really get their backs up when you say, oh, you love Harry Potter. I thought Harry Potter was stupid. I don't think by the way, I don't think Harry Potter's stupid, but sometimes I think Harry Potter is stupid. What the person hears is, I think you're stupid because I don't like something you like. And what you like is so intrinsically attached. I mean, and we've got to learn to separate that. I mean, I look, there was a time when somebody would say to me, man, I think Star Wars is dumb. I'm like, them's fighting words. Them's fighting words. Get ready to get laid the fuck out. You know, that sort of thing. But I realized, no, they're just talking about a movie. And they may either like or don't like the movie I like or not like for whatever reason. That's fine. They're not talking about me personally. But again, there are the weak-minded, and we all can be, who are so attached to that sort of modus operandi that they hear it as attacking them. And by extension, they're like, if somebody likes what I don't like, then I don't like that person. That's the logical extension of that, right? Like if you attack something I like, I take that as attacking me. And by extension, if you like something I don't like, I need to attack you because we see that inherently being connected. And we need to understand that we need to compartmentalize that and realize, no, they're two different things. Our opinions of a movie is separate from who we are as a person. So if you hate something I love, no big deal. And if you love something I hate, no big deal. I don't take that as an attack on me, and I don't feel the need then to attack you because we're just talking about our opinions about movies that are all subjective. But I think that's one of the key root things of it. Anyway, I could go on about that for hours, but that's the basics of it, James. Thanks for asking. Anthony R. writes, no offense to Tyler Hoechlin, but Brandon Routh looks damn good in the Superman suit, and I wouldn't mind a new series with him instead. No CW, of course. Well, listen, I've always loved Brandon Routh as Superman. Listen, as many problems as Superman Returns had as a comic book movie, I still thought it was a pretty strong movie. Not a very good comic book movie, but a pretty strong movie, and I've explained that 1,000 times. And I really like Brandon Routh in the role. I did. And seeing him in that costume, I mean, it looks great. But here's the thing, Anthony. It's still just a picture. A picture doesn't tell me anything. So I'm not going to get too excited about a picture, but the picture is good. If you haven't seen it, you can go Google it. Brandon Routh in the Kingdom Come Superman outfit with the Kingdom Come Superman version of the S on his chest. He's got a bunch of gray in his hair and all that kind of stuff. It looks pretty damn good. If you haven't seen it, go see it and you'll see why Anthony's excited about it because it's a pretty damn good picture. All right, let's see. Edgar Magana writes, great horror films to watch for Halloween. Well, I'm not a huge horror aficionado. Like, I like a good horror as much as anybody. But, my two all-time favorites are American Werewolf in London and The Descent. Those are my two favorite horror films of all time. But in the last couple of years, there have been some good ones, man. So if you want to watch some newer ones, I love Don't Breathe. Get Out is really good. What's the one? Lights Out. Oh, I loved Lights Out. Both the short film and the full feature-length version that they then did of it. So there's some good new ones. Those are some of the classic ones that I would go to, Edgar. All right. James. Oh, that was James again. James writes, by the way, I love the Halloween Horror Nights video. That was some awesome stuff. I especially love the picture you took of Anne with the dragon wings. Reminded me of Game of Thrones. So for those of you who don't know, it's up on my YouTube channel right now. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Without triggering something. Ann and I went to Hollywood Horror Nights a few nights ago. Let me see if I can find it here. There it is. So let me see if I can bring it up. So Ann and I went to Halloween Horror Nights, and you can see right here, it says Halloween Horror Nights with John and Ann in 3 minutes. We just did a quick 3-minute video that kind of documented our walk through Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. We had a wonderful time. If you ever have a chance to go and do that, I highly suggest you get out and go to a Halloween Horror Nights. It was a really, really fun time, and it was a fun little video. So if you guys want to check that out, that's on the front page of my YouTube channel right now. You can go find that there. So thanks for mentioning it, James. We had a good time doing that. All right. Let's see here. Innovation sends in a really big super chat. Thank you, Innovation, for that. We appreciate you supporting the channel on that level, man. Me and everybody else here, thank you. Hey, John. Today is my birthday, and I just want to say thanks for all you do. Don't know if you remember, but you made my day when you answered my question 3 years ago at your previous employer about whether the Genie movie would be, then he continues on down here, connected to the Aladdin movie on the mailbag segment of your show. It meant a lot because I had been trying to get a question answered on your show for 3 years. I literally cried when you answered it and replayed over and over. Well, first of all, Innovation, happy birthday, dude. I hope you have a magnificent day and, more importantly, a magnificent year in front of you. And yeah, I mean, look, all the way back to the AMC days, you just actually bring up a really good point here, Innovation. See, some people will ask me sometimes, like, hey, just out of curiosity, like, why do you use the super chat feature? Why do you do that and not just answer everybody's questions? The answer to that is exactly what Innovation was talking about. And I put up a blog post about this. But first of all, our main topics of the day are always, you can just send those in anytime for free. You don't have to super chat these in. The main questions of our day that come in from everybody, that you can just go anytime you want. You go over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact, fill out the form, and maybe you'll see your question get selected. Now, I get hundreds of these a day, so I only get to pick 5, but you can send them in for free there. One of the reasons why we switched and why I switched things over to Super Chat was exactly because of what Innovation was just saying. People would often never get their questions answered. And it's not just not because we wanted to ignore them, but I would get hundreds of questions a day, and there's only so many I can pick. And when we try to go to live to Twitter, like, it wasn't hundreds, it would be 1,000. And some people would just start spamming, like, copy and paste their question and hit submit like 100 times. And it was impossible, and you couldn't read through them and you couldn't do anything. So what Super Chat allowed us to do, it allowed us to do a couple of things. Number one, it became a great way for people to support the channel, and that's been great for us. We've been able to, like, the reason we're able to have Chris and Rob and Jonathan and Ray and Aaron is because we have more people supporting the show now. So that helps a great deal. It helps the show and the channel a great deal. But also, it becomes a way where somebody can guarantee, like, if they really want something answered or a comment read, there's a way they now have a mechanism that guarantees their comment or question gets read in a video. Because that's what we do. We guarantee if you send in a super chat, your comment or question, unless, it has to be deleted for big spoiler reasons or for obvious trolling reasons. But other than that, it's a way to guarantee that your question gets answered on the show. And what would actually used to happen is I used to daily, and me and Dennis would joke about it, but it was true. We would daily get hate mail from people who are like, I've been trying to send in a question to you for like 5 months and you keep ignoring my question and screw you and blah, blah. And they would take it personally, but it's like, it's not it. It's just that we get hundreds a day and we can only answer so many. And we don't mean to offend, but literally every single day I'd get hate mail from people who were offended that I wasn't choosing their questions, right? And when YouTube introduced the idea of super chats to me, it's answered a lot of problems. It solved a lot of problems. Because now we had a way that if somebody really wants their thing guaranteed to be answered, there's a way. It's a great way for people to support the channel. It's a great way for us to be supported. And yet still, our main topics of the day all come from everybody who wants to send one in, and maybe it'll get selected. So we found a way to have the best of both worlds. And that's a great example, Innovations. Like, you were trying for 3 years. Or how long are you, how did you write that? That you were trying, you were trying for 3 years. You're trying to get a question answered for 3 years, and it's just the way it worked out. But now that everybody can have an automatic way, and that has been great for the channel. It's been great for our viewers. And I think it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, happy birthday again, Innovation. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain that to everybody, because even though I have put up a post about that before, but I appreciate it, man. All right. And again, Happy birthday, dude. Okay, the Nerdy Hatter writes, good morning, Jedi Master Campea. I know you aren't my interested currently, but you should really give Titan Season 2 a chance. It's way better than Season 1, and that's coming from who loved it. I don't think so. I gave Titan Season 1 a chance. It did not work for me. And I am so behind on so many shows that I do want to watch and that I think are going to be great that I don't have time to spend it on a show that I gave a season a chance and it didn't work for me. Now, I'm not saying Titan Season 2 isn't good. I haven't seen it. All I know is that I tried Season 1 and I thought it was quite bad. I thought, not garbage, not awful, but I thought it was not good. Doom Patrol, on the other hand, freaking fantastic. I love Doom Patrol, but Titan Season 1 didn't work for me. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, oh yeah, sure, I'll give it. No, I'm not. I'm not going to give it a shot. I gave it a full season. Did not work for me, so I'm probably not going to go back to it again. There's too much other stuff. Like, people were recommending to me that I need to see Dark. I've not gotten around to watching Dark, that I need to see that. I need to see this, and I need to see this, and I need to give those things a chance. So probably not going to see Titan Season 2. Probably not. Never know, though. Stranger things have happened. The Nerdy Hatter also writes, and sent in a big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, Nerdy Hatter. I appreciate that, dude. They listened out for what people didn't like and course corrected, definitely for the better. Warning about episode 1 of season 2. First half is the last 2 episodes they cut from season 1, so it's a bit rushed. Season 2 is pretty awesome so far, though. I will tell you what. I'll go this far, Nerdy Hatter. I'll say this. If I hear from a lot of other people, if I do hear from a lot of other people that I absolutely should watch season 2, maybe I will. Because I wasn't going to watch Doom Patrol season 1, but I had so many of you guys tell me, John, you got to check out Doom Patrol season 1, that I went ahead and did it, and I'm so grateful that I did. Because that show is one of my favorites. Oh my God, that show is so clever and sharp and fun. Oh my God. Alan Tudyk is Mr. Nobody. Brendan Fraser is fantastic in it. I owe that to you guys for really turning me on to it. So I'll tell you what, Nerdy Hatter, if I hear from enough people telling me that they second what you're saying and that I really, really should check out season 2, then I'll do it. Because you guys very, very rarely steer me wrong. But I'm going to need to hear a lot more recommendations for it because like I said, I tried season 1. I watched the entire thing, started off with promise, didn't like where it went, felt kind of lazy to me, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Ronnie Vargas writes, John, you just received the Oscar Award for Best Director and Best Writer for Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone. Give us your acceptance speech. Woo! What would my acceptance speech be? It would probably be, it goes without saying, a lot of talk about my parents, a lot of talk about Anne, and a lot of talk of the people I've worked with in my life. But then the balance of it would be about thanking George Lucas. Because Star Wars, it's my earliest memory is watching Star Wars. Star Wars is what gave me a desire to pursue stuff that involved creativity. And it started my lifelong love affair with movies. And if I won an Academy Award for Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone, much of that acceptance speech would be about thanking George Lucas for the worlds that he created. That's probably what it would be. Now I just need to go and win that Academy Award. All right, Innovation writes, I know you said, I know it was just you answering a question, but it meant a lot to me. Oh, going back to the question and answer for you a few years ago, but it meant a lot to me, especially having to deal with a family who bully, insult me constantly, ruin my love for movies. I struggle with mental health and glad I have people like you to help. 2 people who say Joker may cause, these are 2 separate things. Listen, man, I've had so many people write in at different times on the show to say, who have said almost the exact same thing, Innovation. Like, I just can't talk to my friends about movies, either because they just don't care about movies and think it's stupid that I talk movies, or say, like, my friends and family think my taste in movies is stupid and dumb, and they just give me a hard time for loving what I love and stuff like that. Or the other thing is I just don't have anybody to talk to about my movie fandom. Nobody in my circle of friends and nobody in my family likes talking about movies and things like that. So I've got nobody to talk to. And so we come here. And that is one of the great things about the online film community, is that there is, whether it's this show or many, 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 many others, you know, there's always a place we can go to and talk about our favorite things, talk about movies. And hopefully we've got a type of movie community that if you come out and say, you know what, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a movie, Assassin's Creed the movie, which I hate, but hopefully what we have all created here is a community where you can come out and say, you know what, I loved Assassin's Creed the movie. You're not going to find a lot of people who agree with you, but hopefully you found a community where you're not going to get belittled or criticized for loving what you love, right? There are movies I hate, like I hate the prequels, but when somebody comes to me and says, I love the prequels, I'm like, you know what? They're not for me. I didn't like them at all. But man, I love that you love them. And I celebrate that you had something, there's something you got out of those movies that made you love them, and anything that makes you love the movies, man, is good with me. And I'm not going to lie to you and say I love them too. No, I don't love them. I hate them personally, but I love that you love them. And hopefully that's the type of community that we have built here. I hope at any rate. So good on you, man. All right. Then he also follows up with to people who say Joker may cause mass shootings, movies don't cause shootings. People with unresolved complications cause shootings. That's so true. Trainwreck had no violence, disturbing content. That didn't stop the shooting that happened there. And you know what? A lot of people were writing in jest, but they have a point. It's like, gosh, I remember somebody wrote in once, Innovation. They wrote in, they say, gosh, I wonder which movie caused World War II, because clearly it's movies that cause it, right? And it's so true. What happens is there are weak people who attach themselves to an opportunity. And then what dumb people then do is think, oh, because somebody attached themselves to the opportunity, that meant the opportunity was the motivation and the cause, when it never was in the first place, right? Like when the unfortunate events in Aurora happened around The Dark Knight Rises, people didn't go there because The Dark Knight Rises encouraged them to do it. It was opening night of The Dark Knight Rises. Nobody had seen The Dark Knight Rises yet to be motivated to go into something like that. That was a bunch of ignorant assholes and a total ignorant moron who just looked for an opportunity to express his ignorance and his stupidity and just as being a total worthless piece of shit. But then some people go, oh, the opportunity was the motivation. No, the opportunity is the motivation. It's not. So I'm glad you raised that point, Innovation. I completely agree with you on that. All right, Colin Williams writes, I Love You, Man is such an underrated comedy. It totally is. I'm not gay, but if Paul Rudd wanted to cuddle for a bit, I'd be down. Paul Rudd is a genius. See you later, Jobin. I don't know why I just called you Jobin. Slapping the Bass. I love that movie. As a matter of fact, well, I'm not going to tell that story right now, but yes, I think that movie is wonderful. It's one of Anne's favorite comedies, is I Love You, Man. And Rudd and Jason Segel have such a great chemistry. Rashida Jones is so good in it as well. Jon Favreau is really great in it. He's got a small role in it, but I think he's absolutely fantastic in it. I love that movie, and I'm glad you acknowledge that it's underrated, because it's totally underrated. I'm completely agree with you. And Paul Rudd is an underappreciated treasure in this business. I think Paul Rudd is an absolute underappreciated treasure. He is fantastic. Anyway, Jared Oberfeld writes, first period, hockey season starts this week. No kidding. Second period, who do you think will hold Lord Stan's cup? Third period, I hope Predators power play can at least score on a hooker. I don't think this is the Predators' year. Listen, this is the first time I'm going to say this in forever. I have never said this in my lifetime. All right, just be clear about this. I have never said this phrase in my lifetime. I think the Leafs are going to win the cup this year. I've never said that in my life. I've never in my life have been able with a straight face to say the words, I think this is the Leafs' year. But I do. Now, I may change my mind 2 months into the season, but as of right now, hope springs eternal. I think this is the Leafs' year. I remember a couple years ago when they were looking high, I said, guys, don't get too excited. Give them a few more years to put, fine tune some things, put some more pieces of the puzzle together, blah, blah, blah. I think this is the year. I do. I think this is the year. Remember, guys, you may think your favorite team sucks. My favorite team, the Leafs, have never even been in the championship, let alone won a championship. They've never even been to the finals my entire lifetime. As long as I've been alive on this earth, the Leafs have never been to the Stanley Cup Finals. Ever. And I think only once have been to the semifinals. And that didn't go so well. So I think this is the year, Jared. I do. I think this is the year. All right. Tiberus Funk writes, loving the positive female energy that Chris and Aaron bring to the show. Always a pleasure to hear their views. They are great. I don't know how, listen, I'm an incredibly lucky guy that I get to and have been able to call Aaron Cummings my friend for a decade. Aaron and I have known each other for 10 years. We met at Comic-Con 10 years ago. And we have been friends ever since. And it's just a great privilege and pleasure for me to call her a friend of mine. I adore that woman. I really do. I adore her. And Chris, I've only known this year because I met her doing auditions for the John Campea Show, but I'm so lucky I came across Chris. I really am. Again, I don't know how long Chris is going to be here. Chris is a performer and an actress, and she does different things. And, just like, we had, I've had other people do this gig with me, some wonderful, wonderful people do this gig with me that sometimes, just their careers and what they do makes it impossible. I mean, I think Ashley Whalen's fantastic. But, I think the same thing could happen with Chris, that maybe she gets busy, she gets some more opportunities, and hopefully that happens for her. So I don't know how long she'll be here, but all I know is that as long as she's here, I'm really grateful that she's here. All right. Jersey Kid writes, this week I saw Breakthrough, Dark Phoenix, Aquaman, The Favorite, Battle of the Sexes. Oh, you know what? That was a really underappreciated. Emma Stone, Steve Carell. That movie was underappreciated. It got some awards buzz, but I still think it was underappreciated. That was a great movie, Battle of the Sexes. Anyway, which was favorite? Mine was The Favorite. It's either The Favorite or Battle of the Sexes. I liked Aquaman. I did. But The Favorite is such a special movie. It's probably going to get a Best Picture nomination this year. Battle of the Sexes was wonderful. Whew. I think I'll say The Favorite. I think I'll agree with you on that one, Jersey Kid. I'll lean towards The Favorite on that one. Nathan Chapa writes, hello, John, and anyone else in the room while John reads this. Have you ever been to Detroit? I have been to Detroit. If so, have you ever been to an MJR theater super cheap? No, I have not. But here's the thing. I grew up in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And that meant I used to have to go into Michigan every once in a while. As a matter of fact, me and my friends, a couple of times a year, we would go to Flint, Michigan, or we'd go to Grand Rapids and go through Flint. I kid you not, this is how geeky I was, because one of my favorite bookstores in the world was there. And about once a year, we'd make a trip over there just to go to one of my favorite bookstores. I know this sounds crazy, but it's true. And then every once in a while, we'd drive to Chicago or some other places, and oftentimes we would go through Detroit for different reasons. So yeah, I've been to Detroit. I've not spent a lot of time there, but I can say I've never been to MJR. I just know that as a Maple Leafs fan, Red Wings, although, you guys produce Stevie Yzerman, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. I love Stevie Y, all that kind of stuff, but I've never been to the MJR theater though. Though it sounds interesting. I like any movie theater that's super cheap. Nathan. All right. Trev 8 writes, will there be spoiler talk for Joker? Yep. Sunday afternoon, probably after the afternoon football games, we will do a Joker spoiler review. So you have all Thursday, all Friday, all Saturday, and Sunday early matinees to go and see Joker before we do our Joker spoiler review. But Sunday, we will do a Joker spoiler review. Thank you for asking, Trev. All right, Jonathan Teft writes, is Fact Checker Jonathan still part of your crew? If so, what does he do now? I missed the movie news feed. Fact Checker Jonathan, right now, he kind of looks after, what Jonathan looks after now is he looks after, for the most part, our Patreon supporters. Like, he makes sure that our Patreon supporters, number one, who join, get all the info that they need. He adds them to our Facebook group. He kind of helps moderate the Discord server, which, by the way, today after the show is done, we will be doing a post-show chat. For those of you who are Patreon supporters, we'll be doing a post-show chat in the Discord server about 10 or 15 minutes after the show is done today. Make sure you guys come on over and join us. We do it almost, not every day, but almost every day. We do about a half-hour conversation just talking about the topics that we had here on the show today. And if you are a Patreon supporter, make sure you come and join us on the Discord servers for that. So that's the main stuff he does. And then every once in a while, he'll do certain little things that I need done. Like I needed something edited the other day. He edited it for me. He'll do these little tasks for the show. So yes, Fact Checker Jonathan is still a part of the crew, and he's mostly looking after our Patreon supporters, but he does some other stuff as well for me now. Thanks for asking about that. All right, Slim Trav writes, over under 40% Madam Web actually happens. Ooh, see, here's the tricky, I think 40% is a good number, because they said they're looking at developing that, but that doesn't mean it's greenlit. They look at developing a lot of things that never come to pass, right? Every studio does. 40% is right around where I would put it. So I will say over. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'll take over 40. It's tough because, again, 40% is right where I would put the line. N Mander 33 writes, I know Adam Sandler's recent comedies haven't been anything to brag about, but his Netflix special last year was pretty good. You know what? I never did see his Netflix special. All I know is that for years, now look, obviously like everybody else, I love the early Adam Sandler comedies. Just like everybody else, I love the early comedies. I did. But that being said, I for years have thought he should really move just towards dramatic because he has such a natural born gift for dramatic acting. It's crazy. And the movie Reign Over Me is the movie that really highlighted that for me. And now this new one coming out, Uncut Gems, looks amazing. I mean, I don't know, maybe the movie's crap, but it looks amazing. And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing him in. Then he follows up with, I understand if you have no interest in watching it, but I advise you to Google his bit, Phone Wallet Keys. That was the best part of his special. Well, I like comedy specials. Now, I have lost my interest and faith in Adam Sandler doing comedy movies, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't think he can't still do good stand-up and do a good comedic performance. I'm interested. Yeah, I've just never gotten around to watching it, but I'd be interested in seeing that. I might see if Ann wants to watch that too, because at some point maybe I need to sit down and watch that. So thank you for reminding me about it, sir. I appreciate that. All right, Jersey Kid writes, I received the John Campea Show t-shirt in the mail finally. I sent a pic to you on Twitter. Now I can market the show wherever I go. Well, thank you so much for that, Jersey Kid. I appreciate that. And for those of you interested in some John Campea Show merch, under the video in YouTube, you should see a storefront there. You should see a product list. And if you want some John Campea Show stuff, go and take. And yes, Ray and I will work on new stuff. We are going to work on putting some new stuff together too, so keep your eyes open for that. So thank you for supporting us that way, Jersey. I really appreciate that, man. And I can't wait to see the picture. All right, Nathan Chapper writes, another great Detroit spot, Canal Patisserie? I have no idea what that is, but if I ever find myself in Detroit again, I'll keep my eyes open for it. All right, the Darman writes, did you see the story in Deadline saying that the Sonyverse will have a call and answer with the MCU and the two will form a shared detail universe? No, I have not. I have not seen that, which is odd because I read Deadline pretty much, and I have not seen that. As a matter of fact, I've heard the exact opposite. Like I read, I believe it was in Variety, that they were writing that what things are pointing towards right now is that Feige is going to use these last two films to create a more natural exit for Spider-Man out of the MCU, and that we're not going to see anymore. Again, I don't know if that's fact. I'm just saying that's what I've read, which seems to be the opposite of that. And I read Deadline. I've not seen it. Do me a favor, Darman. Can you do this for me? Can you email me a link? Just email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Just put Deadline article in the subject line or something like that. If you could email me that link, I'd be very curious to read that myself because I haven't seen it yet at this point. All right, Jersey Kid writes, I rent my movies on Vudu, and I'm still one of the few who gets DVD by mail through Netflix. Hey, listen, last I read, they still have like 4 million subscribers to their DVD service. So you're not as alone as you might think. A lot of people still use that DVD service. My question is, do studios make money by renting their films? How does that work? Yes, they do. Not as much as you might think. They don't make as much as you might think. But they do because, first of all, the places renting DVDs have to buy those DVDs. And when you buy DVDs for the purpose of renting them, you got to spend a lot more on them. That's why, like back in the Blockbuster days, or in my case in Canada, the Rogers Video days, like a movie that didn't get returned didn't just cost $20. You had to pay them like $70 or something like that, because that's what it cost them to get it. Now, the intricacies and the details of how home physical media stuff works, I'm not really familiar with it anymore. All I know is it's a very small part of the business at this point, but yeah, they still make a little bit off of it for sure. EJ Aikman writes, "Hey John, just call me EJ. I know you love movies, but have you been thinking of starting a small sports talk? Would love to hear your thoughts on football." Hey, listen, I have always said if I wasn't doing movie punditry right now, I'd be working for ESPN. I would definitely be involved in sports talk. That's my second great love. It's movies. I mean, other than the people in my life, there's movies and then there's sports. So yeah, I would probably be a sports commentator of some sorts somewhere. But the reality is I have no time. I have no time to do a sports talk show. And I'm not going to pretend that just because I do a movie thing, that means I should also do a sports thing. So, and personally, I think I'd rather watch a show that is legitimately sports people rather than somebody like me that does movies also doing a sports show. But I would love to. I would, but it's not in step with the identity of what my channel is. But the other thing is, I just have no time. Like a lot of people, I've always wanted to do an MMA show, but I just don't have the time. I'd love to do a weekly show about my breakdown of the NFL that week or of the NHL this week or whatever. I would love to do it, but I just don't have the time. I really don't. I would love it. I wish I could, but I just do not have the time. It's just that's simple. I'm only one guy. So it's unfortunate, but it's true, even though I love sports. Evelyn writes, "I don't know if it's too much for MCU for 1 year, but considering we also have added Disney Plus shows, maybe they should worry about not being oversaturated." It's true. And that is part of the equation that we got to keep in mind with this whole thing, is that not only is it the 4 movies from the MCU, it's also 4 series on Disney Plus. And other than the What If cartoon, it's all interconnected, right? So that's going to be 8 things in 1 year. 8 things in 1 year. So like what? Every month and a half, there's a new MCU thing if you average it out that way. Which is a lot. So we'll have to see. I'm in the place right now, Evelyn, that I'm like, it's worth the experiment. Do it. See how it goes. 2020 is not going to be too overly done. We've got I think 2 movies. Let me double check that. How many movies do we got? I think we got 2 movies in 2020. Yeah, we got Black Widow and Eternals. That's it for movies in 2020. Theatrically, we just got 2. Now, we also have Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's going to be on Disney Plus. But right now, as of just 2 movies. So we're going to go in from 2020 that will have 3 things. We're going to have Black Widow movie, Eternals movie, and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we're going to go from 3 things in 2020 to having 8 things when you include the new Spider-Man. 8 things. We're going to go from 3 to 8. That's a big jump. It is. Again, I think it's worth the experiment. Whether it will work or won't, we'll have to see. I think there is a risk. I think there is a risk of it oversaturating. But I'm not saying it will oversaturate. And I think it's worth trying. And if it is oversaturation, if it is too much in 1 year, then they'll back off a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, they are rolling the dice, so let's see how this all works out. All right, let's see. Static Space Sean writes, "Fight between Superman and Justice League is amazing. I love that scene. I love that scene in Justice League. Flash's face when he sees Superman just staring at him in Super Seed. Dude, that was one of the highlights of the movie to me. And that's what made me really like Ezra Miller's incarnation of Flash. Was like that moment spoke volumes. First of all, the fight between Superman and the rest of Justice League, I thought was great because it's still established. Hey guys, look, yes, we have all these heroes and they're great, but there is one god of the superheroes, and that's Superman. And that scene really communicated that. Like each one of them try to do their best against him, even when they're all ganging up, and it's like, no, I'm Superman. But The moment that I love is that scene, man. When the rest of the Justice League are engaging Superman, and Flash decides he's going to super speed around, sneak up behind Superman, and he sees in the Speed Force, I get Superman just going and looking at him, but it's the look on Ezra Miller's face, like of confusion and concern, and it's a great moment. I love that moment. I love that moment in that movie. All right, Mr. J writes, hey, John, would you prefer the studio to use legend characters like Darth Bane and Revan in future Star Wars films or create brand new characters? I think a mix of the two. I don't think they should just go old legend stuff because you're not going to do the old legend stories. That look, if they bring in Bane and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to be the traditional Bane stories. They're going to change it up because things can't contradict with canon. So I think it's a mixture of the two, like they have done, right? They brought in Grand Admiral Thrawn, but it's not the Grand Admiral Thrawn story that we know him from in the Legends universe. But they've taken that character and brought him into the new stuff. And I would like to see them do that continuing. And remember, Disney's always said they will give their writers and creators the freedom to cherry pick certain things out of Legends and bring them into their new stories if they want. So I think the recipe for success here, Mr. J, is to do what they've done with Thrawn. Mix it up. New characters, some legend characters, new stories mixed in. I think that's the right approach to it. I would say it's honestly a little bit of both. I think it's mixing in a little bit of both. All right. John 1913-8 writes, T5 or top 5 favorite musicals. Ooh, we're going into musicals here. 5, Cats with Ellen Page. I haven't seen that. Or Elaine Page. 4, The Producers with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Fillion. I love The Producers. Number 3, Les Mis. Number 2, The Greatest Showman. Number 1, The Woods. Oh, Into the Woods? Original stage with the great Bernadette Peters. Yours, Filthy. Well, I don't personally do top 5 lists but I will tell you, I love Les Mis. I love The Greatest Showman. I love The Producers with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, who was in that with him. I haven't seen that Cats one that you're referring to, so I haven't seen that. And I never saw the stage play of Into the Woods. I've never seen that on stage, so I can't speak to that. But those are a bunch of ones that I really, really like. That's good. Coming up with the top 5 musicals. I like that, John. Well done. All right, just have time for a couple of quick more ones, guys. Ben Rayner writes, is there a post show for today on Discord? Absolutely there is. So about 15 minutes after we're done today's show, guys, make sure you go over to Discord. We will be doing our Discord chat there, so make sure you come and join us then. Matt Guillemette writes, I know that you're not into Christian-themed movies. Do you like biblical epics? I do. 10 Commandments, Ben-Hur, Spartacus. What can I say? I dig that stuff a lot. But for those of you a little bit don't know what Matt's talking about, look, even when I was in seminary, some of you didn't know I was in seminary. Even when I was studying theology and in seminary, I hated Christian movies. Not that I didn't like the message of them or anything. They just suck. They suck so bad. And the thing is, I was always an astute enough movie fan to go, just because they're saying things that I like and saying things I agree with doesn't make the movie good. And I always hated them. But the biblical epics like 10 Commandment and Ben-Hur, yeah, I've always loved those movies. Love them. Jason O'Connor writes, media banned from Joker premiere. Fantastic news. Yeah, I don't. By the way, media wasn't banned. Just interview cast was banned from it. That's it. They just didn't have interview on the red carpets. That's it. Tons of media have seen Joker already. Tons of media. So you're actually misinterpreting that. They did not ban media from the Joker premiere. What they did was they went with a non-traditional red carpet, because normally what you have on the red carpet is you have 2 sections of the red carpet. One, just the photographers. So the stars step on the red carpet, photographers, 25, 30, 50, 100 photographers just snapping pictures. Then they move on to the interviews on the red carpet, and they go down a big line where there's like 50 outlets doing quick little 30-second to 1-minute interviews with stars as they go down the carpet. But That's what they didn't have. They just didn't have that one little section of the carpet that is those interviews. There was media there. There was press there. Tons of press had already seen the movie, all that kind of stuff. So no, media was not banned from the Joker premiere. It was just that one part of the useless red carpet things, which I've done 100 of those things, and then I stopped doing them just because they're useless. But that's what was. But it's a misinterpretation. Media was not banned from the Joker premiere. They just weren't. Let's see here. The Jenks writes, Spider-Man gets Spider-Man 3 in the MCU and one more appearance in the MCU that's non-Spider-Man. And for that, I got one word. Deadpool. I doubt it. I doubt it. If it was going to be Deadpool, I think Deadpool would have been announced by now. Plus, I think they're going to use him in something with other people that are already established in the MCU. So by the way, I still don't want a PG-13 Deadpool, which if he's in I really hope they change their minds and don't have Deadpool in the MCU. Because as long as he's in the MCU, Bob Iger isn't going to let them make it R-rated. If they have him outside of the MCU, Bob Iger will let them do R-rated. And I really want Deadpool, since he's already started as rated R, I want him to continue being rated R. That's my thoughts on that. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see which direction they go with that. Let's see here. Julian Bobby Mitchell writes, think it's super hypocritical what Mark Maron said on Conan about comic book films, given that he's in Joker, a comic book based film. They can have their own opinions. I don't care a lot. And I don't think what he said automatically makes it hypocritical because he's in one. And I'll be honest, I think people misuse the word. I think people need to really understand the definition of hypocritical and what that really means. Because a lot of things that people call hypocritical doesn't meet the definition of hypocritical. But see, what's hypocritical is this. Is for Mark Maron to say, I don't watch comic book movies. I think it's dumb to watch those comic book movies. And then goes home every night and watches tons of comic book movies. That is hypocritical. For him to say, I don't watch those things, I don't think there's a lot of value in them, but being in one is not a direct See, here's the thing. I don't like what Mark Maron said. Don't get me wrong. I don't like what he said. But by the true definition of it, is he completely contradicting himself by being in one? Actually, no. Again, I don't like what he said. I think what he said was dumb, and I don't agree with him, and that's fine. I don't actually think him being in a movie is a direct contradiction to what he was saying before. And by the way, hypocritical isn't even being about contradictory. It's doing the specific things that you tell other people not to do, right? It's like your mom saying, never smoke, never smoke, never smoke, and then she pulls out cigarettes and smokes. That's hypocritical. It's like, be nice to wait staff, be nice to wait staff, be nice to wait staff, and then being in a restaurant, then being super mean to a waiter. That's hypocritical. I think there's enough difference here that I wouldn't call it hypocrisy. But again, it's all totally, we talked about this on the show before, the Mark Maron situation. I don't like what he said and all that kind of stuff, but hey, the dude's entitled to his opinion, and I don't think being in the Joker movie is a direct contradiction to that. I just don't see it that way, unfortunately. Jonathan C. DeBaca writes, love and enjoy all you do. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That's awfully nice of you to say, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Two more questions. Mrinal Alir writes, Stranger Things Season 4 announced. Yes, they have. And I've been sitting on a little bit of Stranger Things news that I needed at least one more source to confirm for me. And they have confirmed it for me. And I will announce that Stranger Things thing tomorrow. One of the things, part of it was going to be, I can confirm that Stranger Things Season 4 is confirmed. They're going to do it, but that came out today. But there's another flip side to that, and I will announce what that is tomorrow. I'll announce what it is tomorrow. All right, final question of the day. And then we're going to wrap things up. And by the way, everybody else who sent in a super chat, don't worry. We're going to do a companion video today with some leftover questions from Friday and all the leftover questions from today. So companion videos coming a little bit later today. All your questions that you sent in will be answered. But we're going to wrap up this live broadcast with Hideaway Killa, who writes, speaking of video game movies, new Doom. Yep, my buddy's actually working on it. My buddy's actually working on the Doom project right now. Anyway, it's a B movie, but is better than the first one. Oh, wait, a new Doom movie. I thought because there's the new Doom video game as well. Anyway, Why spend millions on commercials when you can make a movie to advertise your new game or sell toys? Well, here's the thing. Because when your movie sucks, it hurts the sale of your toys and games. There's a number of high-profile games that have never been turned into movies because one of the things that the rights holders have said is that if the movie sucks, it will hurt our image. It will hurt the IP of our game. And that's where so while a lot of people race to make a movie based on their game, it's also a very risky thing to do. And it's something they got to be very, very careful of. So did somebody actually say there's a new Doom movie coming? Let me just look at something here. Because I'm unless I've talked about it already and I'm just completely forgetting about it. I don't see anything about it. So yeah, I'm not really clear what it is we're talking about of that in general. So anyway, but yeah, why not just make a movie? Because if the movie sucks, and they've all sucked, it can theoretically hurt your game. It can hurt your game sales. You put a movie that sucks, and I'm not going to buy that game. The movie sucked. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful about that. It's a little bit of a different thing. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Special thank you to all you guys who are here making this movie fan community a part of your day. Thanks for doing that. I want a special thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett and, of course, Chris Carr for being here and being a part of the show. And thank you to all of you guys who sent in questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way as you did it. Again, reminding you guys, all of you who are Patreon supporters, we do have the John Campea Show post-show chat coming up in about 15 minutes after we're done the show here. So go on over to the Discord server, and I will join you there in about 15 minutes, and we'll talk about the show for about a half hour or so. Make sure you guys join us there. And of course, companion video coming later today, and the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Me and Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett will be here to talk about all the good things going on in movies, including a little bit of Stranger Things stuff that we will talk about tomorrow. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.